bursting after he transmigrated into the canon Fodder Omega chapter 87 to chapter 92. Luo Wenchuan accompanied Xianxia to Plymouth Hospital for a physical examination. Ever since Xianxia had his glands removed, all the major hospitals in the empire had been trying to come up with countermeasures. There had been some progress, but it was still not very optimistic. After Xianxia's physical examination, the doctor said to him, "At present, it seems that the effects of the glands removal have been reduced to a very low level. However, there are still some fluctuations in your body. I suggest that you receive another treatment in the medical cabin. It will take about a day. But tomorrow is the finals of NCLM." Xianxia frowned and said, "Is there no other way?" The doctor sighed and replied, "This is already the most effective way." Luo Wenchuan stood to the side. He looked at Xianxia and lowered his eyes to think. After a while, Xianxia looked up at Luo Wenchuan and asked softly, "How about? I don't receive treatment and go directly to the arena?" Luo Wenchuan leaned against the wall with a slender figure. He frowned and said in a firm tone, "No. But you also said that I haven't turned on my mecha in a long time. This opportunity is quite important to me," Xianxia continued. "Let me go on stage." Luo Wenchuan knew that Xianxia really cared about this competition. However, compared to victory, Xianxia's health was more important to him. He would not allow Xianxia to take this risk. Therefore, Luo Wenchuan asked the doctor, "If we speed up the treatment, when can it end as soon as possible?" "This?" The doctor looked troubled. He thought seriously for a while before answering, "Tomorrow afternoon." Luo Wenchuan heard this and pondered for a moment. He then said to the doctor, "Treat Xianxia as soon as possible and try to get him back to the arena before 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon." Xianxia was stunned for a moment. After a moment of hesitation, he asked, "Didn't the competition end in the afternoon?" "In the morning, there will be a 3v3 team competition and an individual competition." Luo Wenchuan looked at Xianxia and patiently explained, "In the afternoon, there will be a 6v6 positional attack and defense battle. This competition format was added after the quarterfinals. I almost forgot about that." Xianxia's eyes widened slightly with joy. "In other words, if I can rush back to the arena tomorrow afternoon, I can participate in the 6v6 position attack and defense battle?" Xianxia had never come into contact with such a format in the previous competitions. He had an accident after the end of the group stage. Therefore, he was quite interested in the offense and defense of the 6v6 position. Richard had also trained the offensive and defensive abilities of the members of the school team before. Xianxia performed well and was very suitable for the position of commander. Luo Wenchuan nodded and continued to speak to the doctor, "But don't skip the treatment process just to speed things up." If that's the case, before he could finish speaking, Luo Wenchuan was suddenly stunned because he saw, in order to return to the arena in time, Xianxia had taken the initiative to run to the medical cabin in the ward and lay down in it. In the next second, Xianxia's voice came from the cabin. "Doctor, help me close the cabin door." Luo Wenchuan didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He straightened up and walked to the medical cabin with his long legs. Then, he stood by the side of the cabin, looked down at Xianxia, and said word by word, "You should at least change into a hospital gown first, right?" Xianxia quickly straightened up, scratched his head, and said embarrassedly, "I was too anxious and forgot." Luo Wenchuan asked the doctor for a clean hospital gown and held it by the side. When he saw Xianxia take off his short-sleeved shirt, revealing his lean and fair skin, his expression became a little unnatural for a moment. The sun shone on Xianxia's body. His skin was as white as milk products. He could only be described as a feast for the eyes. Luo Wenchuan's breathing became a little rapid. He hurriedly looked away, not daring to look again. Xianxia's voice sounded at an inappropriate time. "Give me the gown." When Luo Wenchuan heard this, he coughed lightly to hide his awkwardness. Then, he reached out and handed the hospital gown in his hand to Xianxia, but his eyes were a little unfocused. Xianxia took the gown. When he put it on, he buttoned the wrong buttons because he was too fast, so he could only undo the heavy buttons. At this moment, the doctor suddenly asked, "Excuse me, are you done putting on the hospital gown?" After asking this question, the doctor walked over. "Ah, I'll be done soon." Just as Xianxia was a little impatient, a pair of hands suddenly reached over. The slender fingers carefully unbuttoned the gown and quickly and neatly buttoned it again. Xianxia was shocked by Luo Wenchuan's neat movements and looked up at him in a daze. When the doctor walked to the side of the medical cabin, Xianxia had already put on the hospital gown and was sitting obediently. The buttons of the hospital gown were buttoned all the way to the top. The collar was so tightly covered that even her collarbone could not be seen. Luo Wenchuan looked at Xianxia. The possessiveness in his eyes had already been hidden. He calmly watched the doctor turn on all kinds of equipment for Xianxia. It was not until everything was over and the door was about to close that he walked forward. In the next second, Luo Wenchuan squatted down and looked at the young man in the medical cabin. There was a hint of reluctance in his long and narrow eyes. He whispered to Xianxia, "When you come back, we'll win the championship together." Xianxia smiled. His voice was full of anticipation. "It's a promise." The door closed. The finals of NCLM were about to begin. Stayek. XWZ degrees Celsius. Recently, the entire galactic web's attention had been focused on Xianxia alone. The attention paid to the finals of NCLM had decreased, but this competition was still the highest standard mecha competition in the Empire. The day before the finals, the Research Institute suddenly announced a brand new testing device, Spiritual Control Level Testing Device. The Research Institute released a statement saying frowny face at the moment when the spiritual power amplifier is about to enter production. It indicates that spiritual power is no longer the only factor affecting mecha piloting. In the future, the Research Institute will include spiritual control in the piloting ability rating. We would like to thank Mr. Xianxia for helping to modify the parameters. This was historic news. It was foreseeable that in the next few decades, the mecha competition that was originally monopolized by those with high spiritual power would usher in earth-shattering changes. Only those with strong spiritual control could become truly powerful mecha warriors. In order to promote this testing device, the Research Institute also released a video. In the video, it could be seen that testers with different levels of spiritual control received different ratings after the test. Everyone was surprised to find that this ability had nothing to do with gender. It was completely dependent on the tester's own talent. Some alphas could only receive C level, while some omega could receive A level. At the end of the video was Xianxia's test. And his rating was 3S. The comments section immediately exploded. What the hell, 3S? Is this data real? He's 2F** King Strong, 3S. No wonder he performed so well in the previous competition. Isn't Xianxia a big shot in scientific research? How come his spiritual control is also so strong? He simply crushed alphas in all aspects. That device looks very difficult, but Xianxia actually activated it effortlessly. Is this what it means to be strong? So Xianxia helped to adjust some parameters? Could it be that he set his rating to the highest? Ha 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 ha, upstairs, the truth is out. Xianxia's spiritual control became a legend. He became popular with the release of this device. When the people from Shanghai Military Academy heard this news, they were shocked beyond words. A few days ago, they were ashamed of Xianxia's identity as a big shot in scientific research. Now, Xianxia had the title of 3S Spiritual Control Big Shot. He's obviously the same age. Ao Liar looked at the optical computer and said with tears in his eyes, "Why is his style different from ours? I might as well go home and be a farmer." Kule also had a look of disbelief. Spiritual control reached 3S. Is Xianxia really an ordinary military academy student? No wonder his cat hurt so much. Caleb gritted his teeth and said, "He's pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger." No, he's pretending to be a cat to eat a tiger. Luo Wenchuan looked at everyone's discussion and couldn't help but curl his lips. Her boyfriend was always able to bring surprises to everyone. Chiyu stood in the corner, looking haggard because of what happened at home. He looked at everyone praising Xianxia. The news reports were all about Xianxia. He couldn't help but admit that Xianxia and he were already people from two different worlds. He used to look down on Xianxia's actions, but at this moment, it all seemed ridiculous. If Xianxia's spiritual control is 3S, Ashley slowly widened her eyes and looked at Richard. Doesn't that mean that Xianxia can control mechas above his level? Richard was also stunned for a while. Everyone fell into silence. They all thought of Xianxia's outstanding performance in the competition. After recovering from his shock, Richard frowned and slowly replied, "That's right. If he can't control mechas above his level, then no one in the Empire can do it. So, when Xianxia competed with me, he won by controlling mechas above his level." He Haoming was stunned and said in surprise, "This kid hit it too well." Richard pondered for a moment and said, "After the competition, his spiritual power just happened to level up, so the matter of him skipping levels was covered up. At that time, we didn't realize that he was so strong." Kule nodded and said, "Indeed, his control of the 2-star mecha in the competition actually showed us his spiritual control to a certain extent. It's not something a normal person can do." Richard turned to look at Luo Wenchuan. His calm attitude changed and he asked anxiously and expectantly, "So, when will Xianxia come back?" The other teammates all looked at Luo Wenchuan. The anticipation in their eyes wasn't any less than Richard's. Luo Wenchuan raised his eyebrows and replied casually, "I'm not sure either. Maybe tomorrow afternoon, maybe not. It'll depend on luck." It was as good as not saying anything. If the treatment went well, they could make it in time for the finals. However, if it took too long, then they could only rely on the few of them. Ashley saw that he was so calm and asked, "Dutchwan, you care about winning or losing the most? Why are you so calm now? If little Xianxia can come back, our chances of winning against Noah will be higher." Luo Wenchuan's lips twitched slightly and he didn't answer the question. He knew in his heart that in the past, only winning or losing a competition could bring him a little happiness. But now, it was different. In fact, it wasn't just the Shanghai students who were looking forward to Xianxia's return. The audience who followed the NCLM competition were also looking forward to Xianxia's return. The students of Shanghai Military Academy also posted on the forum every day, daily question, "Is our big boss Xianxia going to return to the competition? Today I'm also curious, can big boss Xianxia come back to compete in a competition in addition to his research? Nikkei, if big boss Xianxia doesn't come back, what are the chances of our school winning against Noah?" Thousands of words were gathered into one sentence, "Please big boss Xianxia come back and win the championship." Calm, please remember, Hua Yihu said solemnly. He was not trying to intimidate Lin Taishu by using the tiger skin as a banner. After all, he was the young master of the Hua family and represented the face and dignity of the Hua family in the imperial capital. Now that he was being assassinated, if he didn't have the ability to take revenge, couldn't he ask his family to step in? Therefore, he spoke with a strong sense of righteousness. The aura of a noble young master emanated from his body. This Qian who naturally won't bend the law for personal gain. Lin Taishu immediately replied with a look of fear on his face, as if he was frightened. Then, he turned to look at Kai Zian and his eyes gradually turned cold. Seeing this, Morong Wushuang and the others looked at Lin Taishu in confusion. However, they only saw the surface and didn't notice the sneer in Lin Taishu's eyes. The website is about to close. Download the Love Reading app to see the latest content for free. Since you're trying to scam me, I'll see who's the one doing the scamming. Then what are you waiting for? Hurry up and apprehend the assassin who tried to kill this young master. Hua Yihu shouted sternly. At this moment, he almost believed that Kai Zian really wanted to assassinate him. Especially when he saw Lin Taishu's awkward expression, he couldn't help but laugh in his heart. Sure enough, as the elders guessed, as long as he insisted that Kai Zian wanted to assassinate him, Lin Taishu would definitely be at a loss. Now that he used his family to pressure him, this trash would immediately panic. Although he also knew that Lin Taishu was extremely daring and did what he did in the Hua family's courtyard, he felt that Lin Taishu had grasped the reason. Otherwise, how could a trash like him dare to be presumptuous in front of the imperial capital's Hua family, right? Especially when Hua Yihu found that Lin Taishu's hesitation turned into fear as soon as he finished speaking, he was overjoyed. "Men, arrest Kai Zian." After thinking for a while, Lin Taishu ordered with a timid look. "Master," Qianhu Lord, hearing Lin Taishu's order, Morong Wushuang, the girl in soft armor, and Chao Hongfu were all stunned. H tau tau ps / ww omega ecp. Et / even in their dreams, they didn't think that Lin Taishu would give such an absurd order. This was an illusion, right? Chao Hongfu and the others comforted themselves in their hearts. However, compared to their confusion, Kai Xian and the surrounding northern battlefront army soldiers couldn't help but show a look of shock and anger, glaring at Lin Taishu. Fatuous ruler, no, bastard, how could you say such shameless words? Suddenly, while everyone was angry at Lin Taishu, they also showed great sadness and disappointment in their hearts. They were ordered to come and arrest Lin Taishu's assassin, but in the end, not only did they not catch the assassin, they became the assassins themselves. What the f***ck, how could this be so outrageous? When Hua Yihu and Hua Ziyuan heard this, they couldn't help but smile at each other, showing a trace of pride in their eyes. Just as they thought, this great plan of giving Lin Taishu a taste of his own medicine really made Lin Taishu panic and kill each other. What a compliment. Immediately, they all looked at Lin Taishu and the others in a good mood, enjoying the dog-eat-dog show that was about to happen. What are you waiting for? Do you want to rebel? Seeing that the surrounding northern battlefront army soldiers didn't move, Lin Taishu stared at them and scolded loudly. Rebel? This word wasn't something that normal people could bear. Suddenly, the northern battlefront army soldiers' faces all changed. After a few breaths, 2 northern battlefront army soldiers helplessly handed over their weapons to their companions and slowly walked up to Kai Xian, saying, Sorry, Baihu Lord, we were forced to do this. Please forgive us, Baihu Lord. It's okay, do it. Kai Xian said and stretched out his hands. His face was pale, obviously he was disappointed at Lin Taishu's decision. The 2 northern battlefront army soldiers found a rope from nowhere and began to tie up Kai Xian's hands. Seeing this, the girl in soft armor couldn't help but be furious. She glared at Lin Taishu and was about to speak, but Morong Wushuang hurriedly pulled her back a few steps. Then, Morong Wushuang whispered in the girl's ear, Calm down, when have you ever seen Master so foolish? The next day, the NCLM finals began. Reporters from major newspapers and news networks gathered on Noah Star. There was a sea of people inside and outside the stadium. Although the game had not started, the flashes in the audience were already flashing non-stop. Everyone was waiting to record the exciting scenes of the game. At the same time, the audience was guessing who the champion of this year's competition would be. Galaxy Military Academy is doing well this year. They actually made it to the finals. But Noah Military Academy is still very strong. I think Galaxy's finals are very uncertain. Will Xianxia be able to come back? If he doesn't, then Galaxy's chances of winning are probably even lower. I heard that the after effects of cutting his glands have not been completely cured yet. He's still lying in the medical cabin. If that's the case, Noah is most likely the champion. It's useless even if they have Luo Wenchuan. Galaxy Military Academy's performance in this year's competition was outstanding, becoming a dark horse that stood out. However, Noah Military Academy was a mecha school. There was still a large gap between the standards of the 2 school teams. In terms of the strength of the players, Noah Military Academy's highest level player was SS. They were one of the few players who could compete with Luo Wenchuan. In addition, Noah Military Academy had 2 SS-level players, 3 S-level players, and 4 S-level players. Therefore, Noah Military Academy was also known as the full S-level team. Even the substitutes were amazing. In comparison, Galaxy Military Academy had several A-level players. They could not be compared to Noah Military Academy. However, the players of Galaxy's school team improved very quickly. In order to hold on until Xianxia returned, they had defeated teams that were stronger than them in the first few games. They had strong battle skills and strong beliefs that could not be underestimated. The game officially began. After the 2 teams entered the stadium, it was obvious that Galaxy's school team was missing a player. The audience looked disappointed. One had to know that Xianxia was now an influential figure. Everyone wanted to see him in the arena. In this regard, everyone from Noah Military Academy breathed a sigh of relief. For them, the only 2 people they needed to pay attention to when playing Galaxy Military Academy were Luo Wenchuan and Xianxia. Among them, Xianxia's strength was a mystery. She had strange moves in every match, catching her opponents off guard. Even the coach of Noah's school team found it difficult to deal with her. Before they shook hands, the members of Noah's school team looked confident that victory was in their hands. Among them, Noah's captain said to Luo Wenchuan, "I wanted to see the 3S spirit control contestant. Looks like he won't be able to make it. What a pity." Even though he said that, there was a hint of schadenfreude in his tone. The other members of Noah's school team also chuckled softly. Luo Wenchuan looked up at him and suddenly sneered. "He's not here, but you're still thinking about him. It seems like you're very afraid of him." As soon as these words came out, the expressions of Noah's members, who had been cheerful just a moment ago, changed. They did not want to admit this, but Luo Wenchuan had directly pointed it out. They felt a little embarrassed. "Although Xianxia is a scientific research big shot, whether he's here or not," said a member of Noah's school team provocatively. "It doesn't affect Noah Military Academy from crushing Galaxy Military Academy." In the face of Noah Military Academy's provocation, everyone from Galaxy was very calm. After the handshake session, Galaxy's school team cheered each other on. "There's still hope for Xianxia to come back. Let's not give up. No matter what, we can't disappoint Xianxia when he wakes up. Galaxy is the best." Although they were at a disadvantage, everyone from Galaxy had a strong desire for victory in their eyes. Under the anticipation of the crowd, the first round of PK between the two sides officially began. The content of the first round of PK was the same as the group stage. Individual PK and group PK alternated. However, in order to ensure that both sides had enough stamina for the 6v6 attack and defense in the afternoon, they would generally conserve their stamina in this round. However, the intensity of the following match was far beyond the audience's imagination. In the first round of individual combat, Xianxia was the one to fight. His opponent was an S-class meteor mecha warrior from Noah. Xianxia could be said to have grown a lot in the competition. His mecha had been modified many times according to Yunxing's suggestion, and its overall strength had improved a lot. His opponent was strong and known for his flexibility. He was best at kiting his opponent in the competition. This match went on for more than 20 minutes. Xianxia did not intend to give his opponent a chance from the beginning to the end. He used the Storm Mecha's defensive ability to the extreme and exhausted his opponent's stamina. In the end, he unexpectedly won the match. The people from Noah Military Academy did not expect Galaxy's players to be so aggressive. The 6v6 in the afternoon is a full 4 points. They didn't conserve their stamina at all? Noah's coach frowned and said, "What is Richard thinking?" The school team member next to him said, "Maybe, they just don't want to lose too badly. After all, they can't win the 6v6. Their overall strength is so much worse than ours." In the stadium, the audience members who supported Galaxy were infected by Galaxy's unyielding spirit. Their enthusiasm soared. "Just follow this momentum and continue," Richard said to everyone seriously. "Don't let your guard down." In the first round of the 3v3 team competition, Shanghai Military Academy sent out Ashley, Rue, and Sadoen. The three of them also displayed amazing explosive power. In the racing stage, they were even faster than Noah Military Academy. Noah Military Academy also saw Galaxy's strategy. They did not seem to intend to conserve their strength at all. Therefore, Noah had no choice but to fight with their full strength. Although the players sent by Galaxy were ferocious and Ashley held back 2 opponents by herself, it was still difficult for them to fight against Noah's 3S class and above players. In the end, Galaxy lost by a small margin. Even so, the audience still applauded for this wonderful match. Everyone unconsciously regarded Galaxy as a team on par with Noah. Although there was a gap in their strength, it seemed that they both had the possibility of winning the championship. In an instant, the atmosphere in the stadium became heated and tense. The number of people watching the live broadcast had reached its peak. In the second individual combat match, Richard arranged for Luo Wenchuan to fight. All along, Richard had let Luo Wenchuan fight last. In order to avoid Luo Wenchuan, Noah arranged for their strongest SS class captain to fight in the second individual combat match. Unexpectedly, these 2 SS class players still met. Although Noah's captain had said some harsh words before the match, he was still not confident. After all, Luo Wenchuan had never lost in the NCLM competition. Before the match began, Noah's captain said to Luo Wenchuan, I admit that you're very good, but you should give up. Even if you work so hard now, you'll still lose the attack and defense match in the afternoon. Luo Wenchuan glanced at him and said expressionlessly, 5 minutes. The other party was stunned and did not react for a moment. What? Luo Wenchuan did not care about winning or losing the match. However, he wanted Xianxia to be happy when she woke up and saw the video of the match. At least for this match, he had to give it his all. Soon, Luo Wenchuan entered the lightsaber mech. Within half a minute of the start of the match, he entered the state of one with the mech. His opponent was not to be trifled with either. After a minute and a half, he quickly entered the state of mind and fought Luo Wenchuan to a standstill. Although they were both SS class players, Luo Wenchuan was obviously stronger in all aspects. In this match, he displayed his fierce style to the extreme and quickly gained the upper hand. In the end, to everyone's surprise, Luo Wenchuan caught his opponent's flaw at 4 minutes and 50 seconds. He slashed his opponent to the ground and won the match. The audience was dumbfounded. That's too fast. Luo Wenchuan is so strong. I can see that everyone in Galaxy is giving it their all. Galaxy, keep up the good work. Luo Wenchuan won the match and the score was tied at 2-2. Galaxy's morale was once again boosted. Noah's team was stimulated and their contemptuous attitude towards the match also changed. Soon, in the second team match, Noah Military Academy showed their super strength and defeated the 3 A-class players sent by Galaxy, Chiyu, Kalibo, and Ao Liar. Richard's expression became serious. The last individual match also indicated the final battle of the first round. This important task was given to Collet. Collet's opponent was SS class. Even though Collet performed his best since the start of the competition and left heavy injuries on his opponent's mech, he still lost the match by a small margin. At this point, the first round of the morning matches was over. Noah Military Academy's score was 5-2 compared to Galaxy Military Academy. They were temporarily leading by 3 points. The audience who supported Noah were all happy. Because Xianxia was not present, it seemed that Noah's victory was already set in stone. Richard looked at the members of the school team who did not look too happy and comforted them. Don't be sad. You've all done your best. At this moment, everyone had the same hope in their hearts. They hoped that Xianxia could return as soon as possible. Otherwise, they would definitely be at a disadvantage in the afternoon match. Capital Star, Police Hospital. Xianxia was still sleeping in the medical cabin. The afternoon battle was held in the large arena provided by the organizers. It started at 3:30. It would take about an hour to get from the hospital on the capital planet to Noah Star. In other words, if the treatment did not end at 2 o'clock, Xianxia would miss the match. In Galaxy Military Academy, the students who had been watching the live broadcast all morning experienced ups and downs. In the end, they fell into a state of extreme anxiety because they were behind in the score. What should we do? We're behind by 3 points. Lu Ranchu said anxiously. Can our school still win the championship? Su Zenon closed his eyes and analyzed calmly. Richard's strategy is correct. We tried our best in the morning to preserve these 2 points. If we conserve our strength, we probably won't even get 1 point. Lu Ranchu said dejectedly, there's nothing we can do. Noah was last year's champion after all. They're too strong. There's still a chance. Su Zenon pondered for a moment and said, as long as we win the 6v6 match in the afternoon, we can get 4 points and become the champion. Of course, if Xianxia doesn't return to the arena, I'm afraid the situation will be very difficult. Lu Ranchu gulped and looked at his screen. He had sent many messages to Xianxia, but there was no response. Could Xianxia really not return to the arena? During this period, the Omega Mecha Association of Galaxy Military Academy was doing better and better. The members of the association all hoped that Xianxia could appear in the finals and regain her former glory. 2 o'clock in the afternoon. The moment Xianxia woke up, her mind was in a daze for a moment. Then, she quickly sat up and asked the doctor standing next to the medical cabin, "What time is it now? Is it too late for me to go to the competition?" Second princess consort, "Don't worry about the competition for now." The dean personally came forward and said to her with some excitement, "The treatment just now showed that there were some fluctuations in your gland cells. Although the fluctuations are very small and the cause of the fluctuations is further confirmed, this is a good thing. It means that there's still hope for the gland to recover." Xianxia was stunned for a moment, then immediately frowned and said, "So, will this affect my competition? If you go back to the competition, it may affect your gland. It's best to lie down and rest." The dean said to Xianxia, "For the sake of your gland and the future of the royal family, you should. I'm not that delicate." Xianxia did not hesitate at all. She directly supported herself with one hand on the edge of the medical cabin and jumped out. "I want to go to the competition." The dean and the medical staff were anxious. "You can't do this. It's just a small fluctuation in the cells." Xianxia glanced at them and said calmly, "Wait until you're 100% sure that my gland can recover before you say this to me." For her, the small probability of her gland recovering was not as important as winning the championship. Delta DL degrees Celsius XW. Calm for the doctors, this small probability was more important than their lives. This was the gland of the future princess consort. However, even though the doctors tried their best to stop her, Xianxia still left the hospital without hesitation, just like the last time. The dean wanted to cry but had no tears. He turned around and said to the other doctors, "Everyone, hurry up and study the cause of the cell fluctuations. Find a solution as soon as possible." Everyone did not dare to slack off. They hurriedly called for a meeting to discuss the plan. 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The battle of the position was about to begin. The sun was high in the sky, and the players collectively came to the large arena provided by the organizers. Before entering the arena, there were many reporters waiting at the entrance. They still did not see Xianxia appear. The members of the Galaxy Academy team did not look too good. They glanced at the time from time to time. It seemed that Xianxia would not come. The people from Noah Military Academy also guessed it, and they could not help but smile. They no longer needed to hide their ambition. They decided to crush Galaxy in the 6v6 arena and win the championship with a large score. "We will definitely win the game 9-2, Noah's coach said to the team members happily. "Shanghai's strength is still a lot weaker than we thought. Without Xianxia, their trump card is gone. There's no need to be afraid." The members of the Galaxy Academy team looked more and more serious. In the Galaxy Academy, the students were a little anxious when they saw that Xianxia did not appear on the live broadcast screen. The quiet field became noisier and noisier. What's going on? Did Big Boss Xianxia really give up? Galaxy performed so well this year. It was not easy for them to wash away their shame. Are they going to stop at second place? I still want to witness history. I want to see the moment when Galaxy wins the championship. Big Boss Xianxia, come back. I'm so anxious. If Xianxia is here, the score will not be pulled to 2-5, it's the last round. I hope Xianxia can come back and turn the tide. Everyone was talking. Lu Ranxu's face was full of anxiety. He still did not receive a reply to the message he sent to Xianxia. "Xianxia, wake up, Xianxia. NCLM needs you. The Galaxy Academy team needs you. 6v6 is about to start. Can you come back and show us the championship trophy?" It was 3:20 p.m. The players began to enter the arena. Richard gritted his teeth and said to everyone, "Xianxia probably won't be coming back. Luo Wenchuan, He Haoming, Kulei, Ashley, Kalibo, and Ao Liar, you guys get ready to go." Lu Ranxu watched as Richard began to choose his players. He closed his eyes in despair. It seemed that Xianxia still missed this match. Just as Lu Ranxu was feeling down, Su Zinan suddenly said to him in surprise, "Look, look." He replied to you. Lu Ranxu shuddered and opened his eyes. Then, he looked at the screen in disbelief. Xianxia replied to him with two short words, "Wait." F***CK. Lu Ranxu shouted in shock. F***CK, 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 F***CK. Lu Ranchu had yet to recover from his shock. All the students around him suddenly quieted down. On the screen, a second before the Galaxy Academy team selected their players, a figure suddenly appeared at the entrance of the arena. The students who were watching the live broadcast were collectively stunned for a moment. Then, someone in the crowd let out a cry of surprise, Xianxia is back. In the next second, excited cheers rang out one after another on the field. Ah, Xianxia is here. He's really back. There's hope for Galaxy Academy. We have hope of winning the championship. Xianxia. You're finally back. In the end, these cheers turned into uniform shouts, Go, Xianxia. Go, Galaxy Academy team. Seeing Xianxia's appearance, his teammates at the entrance of the arena were also very surprised. Luo Wenchuan was stunned for a few seconds before he asked, Are you okay? Yes. Xianxia nodded. I can play now. He did not mention the fluctuations in his glandular cells for the time being. Firstly, he was afraid that Luo Wenchuan would not let him play. Secondly, he was afraid that it would affect Luo Wenchuan's state of play. You're finally back. Richard's forehead was sweating a lot, which was rare. He finally breathed a sigh of relief. Quick, take A.O. Liar's place and play. A.O. Liar cried excitedly and said with tears in his eyes, Oh my God, Xianxia, it's so good that you're back. I feel like I'm dragging the team down after losing in the morning. If we still lost in the 6v6, don't cry. Xianxia looked at A.O. Liar and comforted him gently. Without your persistence, Galaxy Academy wouldn't have made it to the finals, and I wouldn't have had the chance to return to the arena. With that said, he looked at everyone and said slowly, I should thank you for giving me the chance to continue playing. With Xianxia's firm words and eyes, everyone in the Galaxy Academy team felt an unprecedented sense of unity at this moment. With Xianxia around, the Galaxy Academy team was the real Galaxy Academy team. The people from Noah's Academy team suddenly panicked. Although they were leading by 3 points, the appearance of Xianxia, the advantage they had accumulated seemed to have disappeared. This was not only because of Xianxia's outstanding performance in NCLM, but also because of his legendary experience. The reason why Noah's people were so afraid of Xianxia was because they knew that Xianxia had created too many miracles. This ability was enough to make all opponents fear him. Noah's coach concealed the uneasiness in his eyes and hurriedly comforted everyone. Don't panic, everyone. Although Xianxia is strong, our overall strength is here. We'll definitely win. At this point, the members of Noah's Academy team also pulled themselves together and suppressed their worries about Xianxia for the sake of defending the championship. The two school teams finally entered the superlarge arena. There were no spectator stands around the superlarge arena. The audience was watching the live broadcast in the original small arena. When they saw Xianxia return to the arena, Galaxy's morale was high, and they immediately became excited. Xianxia is actually back. This is going to be interesting. Although the score is 2-5, I have the illusion that Galaxy has the upper hand. What's going on? Xianxia, don't let us down. He's a super big shot with 3S regulation power. This is the first time I've seen Xianxia's 6v6 positional battle. I'm looking forward to it. The members of Jikou Military Academy, Yuanshan Military Academy, and St. Cleto Military Academy were all sitting in the spectator stands. The discussions around them also aroused their interest. Xianxia still managed to make it back. Bai Jiashi curled his lips and looked at the live broadcast screen. I think Noah's going to have a headache. Qingjun also agreed. That's right. No matter what competition it is, Xianxia's appearance can always break the balance of the competition. From the 100-person auditions to the 1v1 and 3v3 competitions, he's always the weirdest one. Captain, you've watched a lot of Xianxia's competition videos, Shibolai said in surprise. Shibolai said in surprise, didn't you tell me that Xianxia is a player who practices crooked ways? Qingjun laughed awkwardly and replied, learn from the enemy and use your skills to subdue the enemy. Someone watching the competition suddenly said, speaking of which, can Xianxia really guarantee that he'll win the competition? Shibolai looked at him, curled his lips, and said slowly, I don't know if he'll win. In any case, tomorrow's news headlines will definitely be about him. Hearing this, that person said in disbelief, "Is Xianxia really that amazing?" Qingjun and the others smiled but didn't say anything. Before the competition officially started, both sides needed to place their mechas at the assembly point. After the people from Noah Military Academy released their mechas, their morale rose immediately. There were 6 people, and all of them had mechas above S-class. On the other hand, Shanghai Military Academy also released their mechas one after another. 1SS, 1S, 2S, 1A, and Xianxia held a Rubik's Cube in his hand and had yet to release his mecha. He looked at the mecha with a thoughtful expression. Before the start of the competition, both sides could check the opponent's mecha information. Noah's coach looked at Shanghai's configuration and said confidently to the team members, "This is the weakest opponent we've faced in the quarterfinals. Everyone, you must be alert. Look at the mechas on the other side. They're weaker than you by more than one level." The audience also felt that Shanghai was obviously at a disadvantage when comparing the mechas on both sides. Could it be that he was going to put on an extremely arduous show of turning the tables against the wind? Richard looked at Xianxia and said to him, "Xianxia, release your mecha." Xianxia nodded. Under everyone's gaze, he unfolded the Rubik's Cube in his hand. Noah's captain looked at Xianxia's mecha and said slowly, "His 2-star mecha may be upgraded, but it's still within our range. There's nothing to be afraid of." Before he could finish speaking, his words were stuck in his throat. The audience fell into a strange silence. Everyone's eyes were attracted to Xianxia's mecha. Xianxia had unfolded an unfamiliar mecha that they had never seen before. The members of Noah's school team, who had been confident of victory just a moment ago, were shocked when they saw the mecha. They couldn't even tell the level of the mecha. Calm, please remember," Hua Yihu said solemnly. He was not trying to intimidate Lin Taishu by using the tiger skin as a banner. He was the young master of the Hua family. He represented the face and dignity of the Hua family in Imperial City. Now that he had been assassinated, if he didn't have the ability to take revenge, couldn't he ask his family to step in? Therefore, he spoke with a strong sense of righteousness. The aura of a noble young master emanated from his body. This Qian who naturally won't bend the law for personal gain." Lin Taishu immediately replied. There was a trace of fear on his face as if he was frightened. Then, he turned to look at Kai Zian. His gaze gradually turned cold. Seeing this, Morong Wushuang and the others looked at Lin Taishu's gaze. They were a little confused. However, they only saw the surface. They didn't notice the sneer in Lin Taishu's eyes. The website is about to close. Download the Love Reading app to see the latest content for free. Since you're trying to scam me, I'll see who's the one who's going to scam me. Then what are you waiting for? Hurry up and take down the murderer who tried to assassinate me and punish him." Hua Yihu shouted sternly. At this moment, he almost believed that Kai Zian really wanted to assassinate him. Especially when he saw Lin Taishu's awkward expression, he couldn't help but laugh in his heart. Sure enough, as the elders guessed, as long as he insisted that Kai Zian wanted to assassinate him, Lin Taishu would definitely be at a loss. Now that he used his family to pressure him, this trash would immediately panic. Although he also knew that Lin Taishu was extremely daring and did what he did in the Hua family's courtyard, he felt that Lin Taishu had grasped the reason. Otherwise, how could a trash like him dare to be presumptuous in front of the imperial capital's Hua family, right? Especially when Hua Yihu found that Lin Taishu's hesitation turned into fear as soon as he finished speaking, he was even happier. "Come, take down Kai Zian." After thinking for a while, Lin Taishu ordered with a timid look on his face. "Master," Qianhu Lord, hearing Lin Taishu's order, Morong Wushuang, the soft-armored girl, and Chao Hongfu couldn't help but be stunned. H-Tau Tau PS //WW Omega E op. Omega T/ even in their dreams, they didn't expect Lin Taishu to give such an absurd order. This is an illusion, right? Chao Hongfu and the others comforted themselves in their hearts. However, compared to their confusion, Kai Zian and the surrounding northern battlefront army soldiers couldn't help but show a look of shock and angrily stared at Lin Taishu. "Fatuous ruler, no, bastard, how could you say such shameless words?" Suddenly, while everyone was angry at Lin Taishu, they also showed great sadness and disappointment in their hearts. They were ordered to arrest Lin Taishu's assassin, but in the end, they didn't catch the assassin, and they were the ones who killed him. What the F***, how could this be so outrageous? Hua Yihu and Hua Ziyuan heard this, and couldn't help but smile at each other, showing a trace of pride in their eyes. Just as they thought, this great plan of giving him a taste of his own medicine really made Lin Taishu helpless, and they started to kill each other. What a compliment. Immediately, they looked at Lin Taishu and the others in a great mood, and enjoyed the dog fight that was about to happen. Why aren't you moving? Are you trying to rebel? Seeing that the surrounding northern battlefront army soldiers didn't move, Lin Taishu stared at them and scolded loudly. Rebel? This word wasn't something that normal people could bear. Suddenly, the northern battlefront army soldiers' faces all changed. After a few breaths, 2 northern battlefront army soldiers helplessly handed their weapons to their companions, and slowly walked up to Kai Zian and said, Sorry, Baihu Lord, we were forced to do this. Please forgive us, Baihu Lord. It's okay, do it. Kai Zian said, and stretched out his hands. His face was pale, and he was obviously disappointed with Lin Taishu's decision. The 2 northern battlefront army soldiers found a rope from nowhere, and began to tie up Kai Zian's hands. Seeing this, the girl in soft armor couldn't help but be furious. She glared at Lin Taishu, and was about to say something, but Morong Wushuang hurriedly pulled her back, and the girl in soft armor took a few steps back. Then, Morong Wushuang whispered in the girl's ear, Calm down, when have you ever seen Master so foolish? This mecha. Noah's captain was stunned for a few seconds. His eyes were filled with disbelief. What mecha is this? Lightsaber? Meteor? Isn't Xianxia piloting that tattered twin stars? He was not the only one. Everyone else who saw the mecha was confused. This mecha was dark silver in color and had a low-key yet oppressive aura. There were 2 weapons hidden behind the mecha. It looked like a lightsaber mecha, but the modification of the hand had added some cannons. It looked like a meteor mecha. The lines of the entire mecha were very smooth, and the design of the details was something no one had ever seen before. The word simple was used to the extreme. Almost every joint was hidden under special materials, and no one could see any weaknesses that could be attacked. There were many parts on it that even veteran mecha fans could not name. For example, the mecha's head was wrapped in a black helmet made of special materials. No one could tell what this helmet was used for. It was just standing there, but it had the murderous aura of a new generation warrior who was about to unsheath his sword. The reason why no one could tell the level of this mecha was that it looked very powerful, but it was also very simple. It had a back-to-basics aesthetic. Xianxia, when did you modify this mecha? Richard was stunned for a moment. Then, he said, it looks much more powerful than the original mecha. What mecha is it? When I was in the research institute, I modified the original mecha. Xianxia replied calmly, as for what mecha it is. I haven't thought of a name yet. This short sentence made all the contestants in Galaxy fall into silence. Kulei opened his mouth and stammered, You don't mean that this mecha is a new mecha that you invented? Luo Wenchuan had heard of Yunxing's plan before. He knew that he was going to research and develop technology in the research institute and invent a new mecha. This new mecha was also a powerful weapon for the company's expansion. Yunxing's curled his lips and nodded slowly. Everyone looked at the medium-sized mecha in front of them in shock and curiosity. They did not realize that they were witnessing history. The attention of the audience watching the livestream was also drawn to this unfamiliar mech. They sighed with emotion in the stands. This mech looks so cool. What material is it made of? What kind of fighting style did he use? Hebrew exclaimed, Could it be a new mecha? That's impossible. Why not? Qingjun recovered from her shock and said slowly, With Yunxing's strength, the Research Institute will definitely support him in developing a new mecha. Bai Jiashi also revealed an interested expression. Now, the competition has become very interesting. At the same time, the audience realized that the ugly cat that was originally beside Yunxing's mecha had disappeared. Caleb even asked, Xianxia, where's your cat? Let it rest for a while, Yunxing's replied casually. Kalibo pursed his lips as disappointment flashed through his eyes. He was not the only one. Many of the audience missed the ugly cat that helped Xianxia win many victories. After the contestants' mechas were inspected, they entered the track collectively. Before entering the track, Luo Wenchuan curled his lips and said to Xianxia, "This seems to be our first time competing as a team." "Yeah." Xianxia's tone was cheerful, but then he revealed a worried expression. "But because it's our first time, can we cooperate?" Luo Wenchuan looked at Xianxia and did not speak. A few seconds later, he suddenly extended a fist and placed it in front of Xianxia. He asked gently, "Do you trust me?" Xianxia was stunned for a few seconds. Then, without thinking, he reached out his hand and gently touched Luo Wenchuan's fist. He replied, "Of course I trust you." "That's enough." Luo Wenchuan looked into Xianxia's eyes and said slowly, "We are the ones who understand each other's strength the best. We don't need to cooperate deliberately to win the competition." When Xianxia heard this, her worry disappeared completely. She could not help but chuckle. The other team will be furious if they hear this. Her teammates thought to themselves, "We will be a little angry if we hear this too. How can they be so lovey-dovey before the competition?" However, when they saw the relaxed and happy expressions of the two strongest people in the team, the Xinghai team's nervousness faded away. After everyone entered the track, Richard suddenly remembered something. He patted his head and said regretfully, I forgot to ask just now. What level is Xianxia's mecha?" Compared to Xinghai, the emotions of the Noah team members had become tense. They were leading by 3 points, but the atmosphere was as tense as if they were behind by 3 points. Noah's coach could only grit his teeth and comfort them. "No matter what, you must win the competition. Xianxia's mecha is just a paper tiger. Can it turn this situation around?" A few minutes later, the competition officially began. The rules of the 6v6 positional attack and defense competition were not complicated. First, the two teams would draw lots before the competition to be divided into the attacking team and the defending team. There were a total of 3 strongholds in the arena. The attacking team and the defending team would conduct 3 rounds of attack and defense around the stronghold. In the center of the stronghold, there was a battle lantern. The battle lantern lit up with the defending team's beam at the beginning. When the attacking team continued to press the battle lantern button for half a minute without being interrupted, the battle lantern's beam would be replaced by the attacking team's beam. This also meant that the attacking team had successfully occupied the stronghold. The battle duration for each stronghold was only 20 minutes. If the attacking team occupied the stronghold in advance, the remaining time would be added to the next round, which was a total of 60 minutes. If the attacking team occupied 3 strongholds in succession within the stipulated time, they would win. If the defending team could prevent 3 strongholds from being occupied within an hour, they would win. Or, if the attacking team could not occupy a single stronghold within the stipulated time of any round, the defending team would win in advance. The terrain of the positional battle arena was often complicated. It was easy to defend and difficult to attack. Hence, it was a natural advantage for the defending team. Noah Military Academy was also famous for their strong defensive ability. This time, Noah was very lucky. They had drawn the defending team. Naturally, before the competition started, everyone was optimistic about Noah Military Academy. They even thought that they could win the competition in the first round and become the champion. At that moment, both teams had already reached the assembly point at different locations on the track. 5 minutes before the start of the competition, the defending team could set off in advance and set up a defensive formation near the stronghold. After Noah Military Academy set off from the assembly point, Galaxy's side began to discuss countermeasures. In the end, they decided to split into groups. Xiaoming and Kalibo were one group, Kulei and Ashley were another group, and Xianxia and Luo Wenchuan were stronger, so they could act alone or in groups. 5 minutes later. At the location of the first stronghold, a rose-red beam lit up. In the middle of the beam, the Noah Military Academy's ferocious tiger emblem flashed. A robotic female voice rang in everyone's ears. Defending team, Noah Military Academy has made preparations at the first stronghold. Attacking team, Galaxy Military Academy, please proceed to the first stronghold after this broadcast ends. Time starts. The 6 mechas on Galaxy's side were already ready. They quickly rushed out from the assembly point and rushed to the location of the first stronghold. The audience outside the field could see the entire map and the positions of the mechas on both sides, but the contestants could not. In the audience, everyone saw that the competition had officially begun and they cheered enthusiastically. However, there were also some people who looked worried. Hebrew frowned and said, "I feel that this map, the attacking team has no advantage at all." "It's indeed very suitable for defense," Xianxia agreed. "The entire map is practically tailor-made for Noah." Noah Military Academy was good at terrain battles. They used dense artillery fire to snipe their opponents from high places. At the same time, they were also very good at ambushing their opponents between tunnels and canyons, catching them off guard. The map of this competition was full of hills and mountains. Canyons and tunnels could be seen everywhere. There were even dense forests that were especially suitable for hiding mechas. At this moment, the audience could see that Noah's 6 mechas had turned into red dots on the map. A few of them had taken the shortest route to the first stronghold in advance. As long as Galaxy passed by, they would definitely be attacked by terrifying artillery fire. The contestants could only see the location of the stronghold on the map. They could only rely on themselves to detect the opponent's position. However, each mecha had anti-detection equipment, so it took a certain amount of time to confirm the opponent's position. There are 2 meteor mechas on the forest path to the north of the stronghold. There is a comet and a storm in the tunnel to the south. Xianxia's voice rang in everyone's ears. There is a lightsaber in the canyon to the east and a shadow in the hills to the west. A hint of surprise flashed in Luo Wenchuan's eyes. He did not expect Xianxia's detection speed to be so fast. So powerful. He humming said in a daze. How did she do it? It's like she used a cheat to see through things. Do you think this is a game? What cheat? Ashley mocked him. Of course it's because Xianxia's mecha is very powerful. According to Noah Military Academy's calculations, it would be difficult for Galaxy to discover them before they reached the first stronghold. Therefore, the success rate of the ambush greatly increased. Little did they know that they were completely exposed to Xianxia's detection system. "Kalibo, he humming, you guys go to the north," Xianxia commanded calmly. "Kulei, Sister Sharp, you guys go to the south. I'll go to the east and Dechuan will go to the west." After that, Xianxia added, "You guys just need to stall them. Dechuan and I will take over the stronghold. This way, we can take over the first stronghold as soon as possible." Xianxia's idea was that as long as his teammates could stall their opponents so that they could not provide support, he and Luo Wenchuan could easily break through the east and west sides and enter the stronghold to snatch the lantern. Not only would it take less time, but it would also reduce their losses. At the same time, it would also destroy their opponent's confidence. Soon, the 6 of them split up. The audience watched as they took the initiative to rush towards their opponent's ambush location. They were a little surprised for a moment. Galaxy did not seem to be afraid of Noah at all. She even had the illusion that she wanted to fight with Noah. Everyone sighed. Galaxy was really a newborn calf that was not afraid of tigers. In the blink of an eye, 2 blue dots and 2 rose red dots on the north side of the map had met. Noah had specially arranged for 2 meteor mechas with high firepower to be responsible for sniping. When they saw Kalibo and he humming appear, a sky full of artillery fire suddenly came from all directions in the forest. The 2 meteor mechas hid themselves in the forest while taking advantage of the terrain to fire a lot of artillery fire that was difficult to counter. He humming reacted quickly and immediately activated 2 huge storm shields. They were like indestructible boulders in the forest, firmly blocking the attacks from all directions. On the other hand, Kalibo stared at the movements of the mechas in the forest. The Scarlet Comet mecha was like a hyena, waiting for an opportunity to strike with murderous intent. The next second, Kalibo's eyes fixed on one of the meteor mechas. His mecha immediately rushed out like a ghost. At this moment, Kulei and Ashley were about to reach the mountain tunnel in the south. "There are many tunnels here and the terrain is very complicated," Ashley said to Kulei with a frown. "I'll go ahead and scout the path first. The place I marked will be the point of attack. Remember to bombard it with full power." Kulei immediately agreed. Compared to Hehaomin and Kalibo's defense, the two of them chose to take the initiative to attack because their opponent's mechas were not long-range mechas. Immediately, Ashley's shadow mecha captured the opponent's position while in stealth mode and marked it on the map. Kulei took advantage of the situation and leaped into the air like a giant tank. The dazzling particle cannons bombarded Noah's mecha. Noah's players did not expect Xianxia to have such explosive power after a morning of desperate fighting. They were caught off guard for a moment. The north and south sides were originally advantageous terrain, but they almost fell. F***ck Noah's coach saw this scene from outside the field and immediately panicked. How did they make such accurate judgments? It was as if they knew their arrangements in advance. Before he had time to worry about the situation in the north and south, he saw that the east and west sides had also started fighting. Xianxia's mecha was extremely fast. He first observed the canyon in the east for a while, then quickly climbed up the cliff. The audience collectively let out a cry of surprise. Xianxia's unknown mecha was not only fast, but it also had such a strong climbing ability. It could even climb up the cliff steadily. This was an astonishingly heavy mecha. His mecha is too heaven-defying, right? Ao Liar was so shocked that his eyes widened. This climbing action is no different from a human's. Richard stared at Xianxia for a while and was suddenly stunned. After a while, he said in disbelief, "This is man-machine integration?" Xianxia skillfully operated the mecha. It seemed that his nerves and limbs were integrated with the mecha. The mecha's climbing action was so fast that even Richard, who had seen many mechas before, was dumbfounded. Yes, Xianxia had successfully entered the man-machine integration state when he separated from his teammates. However, he knew that this was not because of his desire to win. It was because of his sense of responsibility. He had to win the competition for his teammates, for himself, and for Dechuan. The lightsaber mecha on the east side was piloted by Captain Noah. In this kind of steep terrain, the lightsaber mecha was the most compatible with human mechanics. It was also the most agile, so it could block the opponent. However, before Captain Noah could make a move, Xianxia's unknown mecha was already climbing towards him. The lightsaber mecha quickly threw out a few particle cannons in an attempt to stop Xianxia's advance. However, he did not expect Xianxia to dodge it effortlessly and even increase his speed. The next second, Xianxia's unknown mecha successfully climbed to the top of the canyon. Using the momentum, it jumped up and attacked the lightsaber mecha without any pause in between. The two mechas clashed head-on and were evenly matched. Xianxia finally pulled out the weapons on his back. They were two long and sharp lightsabers. The lightsabers were wider and heavier than the lightsaber. They were more powerful, but they were less agile. However, these two lightsabers were like the blades of a samurai in Xianxia's hands. In a flash, a set of smooth and flowing saber techniques made clanging sounds in the air. It was so shocking that it made people tremble in fear. Noah's captain did not take Xianxia seriously at first. However, at the end of the first round of battle, he was actually at a disadvantage. It should be known that any mecha would not have an advantage in close combat against a lightsaber mecha. Moreover, Xianxia did not use any tricks or mechanical beasts. He completely relied on his own strength and forced this SS-level opponent to retreat more than 10 meters. Noah's coach was so shocked that he was speechless. What the F***ck? After a while, he finally spat out a complete sentence. Wasn't Xianxia an A-level warrior before? Even if his strength increased after he cut his glands, it was impossible for him to compete with an SS-level mecha. The audience was also shocked by this scene. They even felt that Xianxia's current strength was not inferior to Luo Wenchuan's. Was this really possible? The next second, as if to prove everyone's suspicions, a shocking scene appeared again. After the lightsaber mecha was forced to retreat, in order to prevent Xianxia from continuing to the stronghold, it entered the man-machine unity state. It held its lightsaber and attacked the unknown mecha from an extremely strange angle. Not only did Xianxia not dodge, but he even took the initiative to fight. A few meters away from the opponent, Xianxia neatly put away the two lightsabers. Everyone's eyes widened. What was he doing? It's time to show the next function. Xianxia curled his lips and operated the new mecha, making a punching motion. A new attack method from another world. The new mecha's right hand clenched into a fist and fiercely punched the opponent with the back of his fist. The audience was confused by Xianxia's actions. At this distance, it was impossible to hit the opponent, right? Even Noah's captain showed a look of contempt. However, this contempt did not last for half a second before it turned into surprise and horror. The moment the fist was punched out, the back of the fist suddenly lit up. The dazzling light made everyone feel a sense of power. The next moment, after the new mecha's fist was punched out, countless miniature particle cannons condensed in the air, forming the shape of a fist and flying towards the lightsaber mecha. Because of the speed of the fist and the super high speed of the particle cannons, Captain Noah had no time to dodge the fist formed by the particle cannons. His shoulder was hit by the fist. If it wasn't for his quick reaction, this punch would have landed on his neck. However, at this moment, Xianxia raised another fist. The lightsaber mecha suddenly stopped and hurriedly looked for a place to dodge. Just like that, Xianxia's new mecha nimbly adjusted its position. The fists in the air became cannons. These cannons had extremely clear trajectories and could even turn. In a short while, Captain Noah was sweating profusely from the attacks and was completely passive. Oh my god, even the calm Qingjun stared with her bell-like eyes at this moment. This is F*King, too cool. Compared to the lethality of the fist cannons, its own combat special effects were simply like special effects that only existed in games. The mecha enthusiasts present were boiling with excitement. F***, 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 what kind of move is this? It's too good to watch. F***, I really want to see these cannons with my own eyes. Isn't this a move from ancient Earth's martial arts novels? What's it called again? Qigong? F***, what level is this mecha? As if to make the audience more satisfied, Xianxia operated the mecha to perform a series of moves. The fists and cannons drew out after images. It was cooler and more beautiful than any other meteor mecha and directly caused the lightsaber mecha to fall into the canyon. If the opponent did not have the strength of an SS, it would have been seriously injured by the rocks on the cliff of the canyon. Shibolai, like the other audience members, stood up and looked at the big screen of the live broadcast. The hot-blooded teenager naturally worshipped such a gorgeous and powerful move and said in a trembling voice, "This mecha. I want one too." Bai Jiashi, who had always mocked Shibolai for being childish, couldn't help but swallow his saliva at this moment. Could they really have such a cool mecha? It felt like the difficulty of operating it would not be lower than SS. Wait. Bai Jiashi's eyes widened. Xianxia's strength has already broken through SS? Qingjun and Shibolai were also stunned when they heard this. At this moment, there was a burst of exclamations from the audience. Xianxia and Luo Wenchuan have both arrived at the stronghold. While the north and south sides were locked in a fierce battle, the east and west sides were easily defeated. The two meteor mechas in the north wanted to escape the battlefield and go to the stronghold to stop the opponent, but they were directly blocked by He Haomin. He raised the storm electromagnetic axe and sneered. Want to go and support? You really don't take us seriously. Comet and Storm in the south also planned to leave the battlefield, but Kulei unceremoniously threw a few deceleration missiles at them. Ashley suddenly appeared in front of them, curled her lips, and said through the loudspeaker system, "I can't let you disturb Captain and Xianxia's two-person world." Opponents, Kulei continued to fire. "We don't dare to disturb them. You guys just stay here obediently." Opponents. F***, they had never been wronged like this before. Xianxia and Luo Wenchuan met in front of the stronghold. The stronghold was a square camp with a war lamp in the middle. Luo Wenchuan looked at the teenager opposite him and curled his lips. "You're 5 seconds slower than me." "I showed them the functions of the new mecha," Xianxia said with some dissatisfaction. "Otherwise, I would have arrived 10 seconds earlier than you." Luo Wenchuan did not argue with him. He said, "Noah's people will probably recover soon and rush over. Let's light the lamp." Xianxia operated his mecha and entered the stronghold. Suddenly, he looked at Luo Wenchuan. "Do you want to light it or should I?" Luo Wenchuan thought for a moment and said to Xianxia, "Let's play rock paper scissors." Xianxia felt that this method was not bad, so he stretched out his fist that had beaten his opponent to a pulp just now and muttered, "Rock, scissors, paper, wait. This game doesn't count. Best of 3 wins. You win. Luo Wenchuan's voice sounded with a hint of affection in his tone. You're still a minor. Go and light the lamp. Hearing these words, his teammates collectively fell into silence. There was a sour smell of love. Kalibo gritted his teeth and said, "Hey, using mecha to play rock paper scissors in the finals. Aren't you guys a little too much?" Xianxia curled his lips and entered the stronghold. He operated his mecha and pressed the button to light the lamp. As long as he could hold on for half a minute, he would be able to successfully occupy the first stronghold. This was Xianxia's first time participating in an official 6v6 competition. It was also his first competition after returning to the competition. This action of lighting the lamp had an extraordinary meaning to him. However, Noah's side was not to be trifled with. The mechas on the east and west sides had already recovered from their defeat and came to stop Xianxia from lighting the lamp. However, when Noah's captain came to the front of the stronghold, he saw Luo Wenchuan pulled out his beam saber in advance and took the initiative to attack them with an unstoppable force. After a few rounds of fighting, these 2 mechas were firmly blocked outside the stronghold. They could only watch as Xianxia continued lighting the lamp. Luo Wenchuan. Let me in. I want to PK with Xianxia. Noah's captain, who had been beaten up badly by Xianxia just now, said angrily, I don't want to fight with you. Luo Wenchuan pulled out his beam saber and pointed it straight at him. He said coldly, he's lighting the lamp. Don't disturb him. His tone was as if he was saying, my wife is playing with toys. Don't disturb him. The other opponent was furious and shouted with a red face, then what are we going to do? Cheer him on? After saying that, he couldn't stand the humiliation and wanted to directly attack Xianxia, who was lighting the lamp. In the next second, Xianxia lit the lamp with one hand and casually swung his other hand to the side. An orange-gold fist particle cannon hit his opponent. Luo Wenchuan took the opportunity to hack him to the ground. The 2 of them cooperated seamlessly. After Luo Wenchuan saw the cannon fire, he showed a look of approval. He turned to Xianxia and said, your new mecha is very successful. It's okay. Xianxia's mecha sat cross-legged on the ground, giving people the impression that he was doing yoga. He said without turning his head, I originally wanted to make a Buddha's palm, but I'll wait for next time. The 2 of them seemed to be chatting and didn't take Noah's captain seriously at all. Noah's captain was speechless. He still wanted to struggle. However, just as he turned his head and before he could do anything, Luo Wenchuan, who was smiling and talking to Xianxia a second ago, had already piloted his lightsaber mecha and attacked Noah's mecha. Bang! Luo Wenchuan directly kicked him to the ground. After doing this, Luo Wenchuan turned to look at Xianxia, chuckled, and said, Buddha's palm? What's that? It sounds very powerful. Noah's captain was speechless. He really wanted to ask, am I affecting your conversation? At this moment, the rose-red beam extinguished and was replaced by a blue beam. Between the beams, the Xinghai shield emblem flashed. The blue light pierced straight into the blue sky, indicating that the first stronghold had been occupied. A cold, mechanical female voice sounded. Attacking party, Xinghai Military Academy team has successfully occupied the first stronghold. Time taken, 13 minutes and 21 seconds. The remaining time will be automatically added to the next round. All contestants, please proceed to the next set of checkpoints. The second round of attack and defense will begin in 10 minutes. Xianxia stood up. His new mecha walked to Luo Wenchuan's side and extended his fist. Noah's captain, who was lying on the ground, trembled subconsciously. Luo Wenchuan curled his lips and put away his lightsaber. He extended his mecha's fist and lightly bumped it with Noah's. Noah's captain was speechless. He thought to himself, I thought you were going to hit me. As soon as the first round of the competition ended, the students in Xinghai Military Academy who were watching the competition on the field were extremely excited. It was as if they were there in person and kept shouting, Xinghai is awesome. At the same time, just as Hebrew predicted, Xianxia and his mecha were already on the hot search list. Everyone's attention was attracted by Xianxia's new mecha. The number of people who entered the live broadcast room to watch the second round of the competition quickly broke through the record high. Even the neighboring Galactic Federation broadcast this competition for the first time, although it was through pirated channels. Because of this, the people of the Federation complained incessantly. Why didn't they buy the copyright of NCLM? It's too laggy. I have a friend from the Empire. I've already gotten the recording of the competition. Does anyone want it? The person above. I want to buy it. I was lagging when I was watching Xianxia's competition. I want to watch it too. Just for the gorgeous special effects of the new mecha, everyone wanted to watch it a few more times. The terrain of the second round of attack and defense was still complicated, but no one felt that Noah Military Academy had the upper hand. The audience's attention was all on Xianxia. Even those who used to support Noah's school team were distracted by the new mecha. Ming Xiao and everyone sat in the research room. Their expressions were both expectant and pained. I really hope that my alma mater, Noah, can win, but this is the debut of Xianxia's new mecha. I'm so conflicted. Don't be conflicted. Eugene patted Ming Xiao's shoulder. Dean Qing and Professor Jin Xian have already taken the Xianxia Victory banner to the scene to support Xianxia. Let's not go against the dean. Ming Xiao carried the guilt of betraying his alma mater and said with tears in his eyes, actually, from a rational point of view, it's probably impossible for Noah to win. It was not that he was pessimistic, but because he knew that Xianxia's new mecha was hiding an even more terrifying ability. After the crushing defeat in the first round, Noah quickly adjusted their strategy and allowed everyone to flexibly respond to the attacks. They tried their best to concentrate their firepower on Luo Wenchuan and Xianxia. This time, they no longer spread out far to ambush. Instead, they left a distance for their teammates to quickly support each other. After Xianxia assigned tasks to his teammates, he quickly noticed that the opponent's formation was changing. It seemed that everyone was paying special attention to his movements. This was within Xianxia's expectations. If I'm not wrong. Xianxia curled his lips and said slowly, those two meteor mechas with full firepower should have been sent to encircle and suppress me. In the face of Xianxia's fists and artillery, the only way Noah could think of to deal with it was to let the storm mecha tank the damage and the meteor mecha counterattack. Kulei asked worriedly, Xianxia, can you handle it? His teammates did not see Xianxia's performance just now, so they were naturally worried. No problem, Xianxia said calmly. I'm ready to go. You guys can do whatever you want, BR his teammates, Luo Wenchuan, will wait for you at the stronghold. Sure enough, Xianxia was surrounded by two meteor mechas and one storm mecha. These three mechas took advantage of the terrain and hid on the hills, planning to take down Xianxia halfway up the mountain. Soon, when Xianxia's new mecha appeared, a sky full of artillery fire attacked Xianxia. It was as dazzling as a meteor in broad daylight. Xianxia complained softly. This firepower. How much? Does he hate me? At the same time, Noah's storm mecha opened its shield in front to prevent Xianxia's strange fists and artillery attacks. It's time to show the next function. After Xianxia finished speaking, he found a spot with the densest artillery fire and pulled out two light blades. The audience was shocked again. Xianxia actually did not dodge. Was he looking for death? However, just when the Noah Military Academy players thought that Xianxia had given up struggling, they suddenly saw Xianxia cross the two light blades in front of him. At the moment of contact, the light blades burst out with a faint light and quickly formed a protective net that was as solid as a rock. This time, I'll let you experience it. Xianxia curled his lips and did not flinch in the face of the artillery fire. A long-range barrier from another world. The dense particle cannons hit the protective net formed by the light blades, but the net was not damaged at all. Noah's players were collectively dumbfounded. After a long while, one of the meteor mecha warriors asked in a trembling voice, this mecha? I'm afraid it's 3S level? Noah's storm mecha warrior immediately retorted, that's impossible. How many 3S level mechas are there in the entire empire? It's SS. Everyone, don't panic. It's just that the Research Institute provided this kid with some advanced technology. We can win. On the other side, the audience let out an unknown number of exclamations today. This? In the audience, Jin Xian looked at this scene and his eyes widened. How did he do it? Although Xianxia completed the design of the new mecha in the research institute, he had never shown this function. It was as if he was very familiar with the mecha he built and did not need to test it at all. Qingyuan stared at the live broadcast screen for a long time before finally saying, "This allows the particles of the light blades to remove the magnetic field confinement and move at high speed in the air to form an indestructible particle shield. How is this possible?" Jin Xian was dumbfounded. The magnetic field is the only way to confine the particles. If the confinement is removed, the particles will either withdraw or escape directly. How can it form a light shield? Qingyuan's forehead began to sweat. He swallowed his saliva and said in a hoarse voice, I'm afraid this is another advanced technology." Xianxia once again proved to them that he was a genius that only appeared once in 100 years. "This mecha's level." Jin Xian stared blankly at the undamaged mecha and said in a trembling voice, I'm afraid it's already beyond our rating system?" Qingyuan stared at the match intently. Suddenly, he smiled bitterly and nodded slowly. Everyone was guessing whether this mecha was an SS or 3S. Only Jin Xian and Qingyuan knew that their current rating system was completely unable to give this mecha a level. This is like asking the ancients to evaluate modern technology. Qingyuan's tone was filled with admiration and self-mockery. How are we qualified to give this mecha a level? As soon as Qingyuan finished speaking, Xianxia saw that his opponent's firepower was almost depleted. He immediately picked up his 2 light blades and darted through the forest. The Storm Mecha warrior, who was not convinced just now, was the first to rush up and block Xianxia. He activated his storm shield and sneered, "Isn't it just a shield? Who doesn't have one?" Boom, a loud sound reverberated through the forest. Then, the entire arena fell into an eerie silence. The indestructible SS-grade storm protection shield was easily cut in half by Xianxia's lightsaber. It was as if he was cutting a piece of glass. Calm, please remember, Hua Yihu said solemnly. He was not trying to intimidate Lin Taishu by using the tiger skin as a banner. After all, he was the young master of the Hua family. He represented the face and dignity of the Hua family in the capital. Now that he was being assassinated, if he did not have the ability to avenge himself, could he not ask for help from his family? Therefore, he spoke with a strong sense of righteousness. He exuded the aura of a noble young master. This Qianhu will not bend the law for personal gain. Lin Taishu replied immediately. There was a trace of fear on his face, as if he had been frightened by something. Then, he turned his head to look at Kai Zian. His eyes gradually turned cold. Seeing this, Morong Wushuang and the others looked at Lin Taishu in confusion. However, they only saw the surface. They did not notice the sneer in Lin Taishu's eyes. The website is about to close. Download the Love Reading app to see the latest content for free. You want to scam me? Just right, let's see who will be the one doing the scamming. Then what are you waiting for? Hurry up and apprehend the assassin who tried to kill this young master. Hua Yihu shouted sternly. At this moment, he almost believed that Kai Zian really wanted to assassinate him. Especially when he saw Lin Taishu's awkward expression, he could not help but laugh in his heart. Sure enough, as the elders guessed, as long as he insisted that Kai Zian wanted to assassinate him, Lin Taishu would not know what to do. Now that he used his family to pressure him, this trash would immediately panic. Although he knew that Lin Taishu was extremely daring and did what he did in the Hua family's courtyard, he felt that Lin Taishu had a reason. Otherwise, how could a trash like him dare to be presumptuous in front of the imperial capital's Hua family, right? Especially when Hua Yihu found that Lin Taishu's hesitation turned into fear as soon as he finished speaking, he was overjoyed. Men, arrest Kai Zian. After thinking for a while, Lin Taishu ordered with a timid look. Master, Qianhu Lord, hearing Lin Taishu's order, Morong Wushuang, the girl in soft armor, and Chao Hongfu were all stunned. Tao Tao PS / WW Omega / even in their dreams, they did not think that Lin Taishu would give such an absurd order. This was an illusion, right? Chao Hongfu and the others comforted themselves in their hearts. However, compared to their confusion, Kai Zian and the surrounding northern battlefront army soldiers all looked shocked and angry, and glared at Lin Taishu. Fatuous ruler, no, bastard, how could you say such shameless words?" Suddenly, while everyone was angry at Lin Taishu, they all showed great sadness and disappointment in their hearts. They were ordered to arrest Lin Taishu's assassin, but in the end, not only did they not catch the assassin, they were the ones who killed him. What the f***ck, how could this be so outrageous? Hua Yihu and Hua Ziyuan looked at each other and smiled, showing a trace of pride in their eyes. Just as they thought, the plan of giving him a taste of his own medicine really made Lin Taishu helpless, and they started killing each other. What a compliment. Immediately, they all looked at Lin Taishu and the others in a good mood, enjoying the dogfight that was about to unfold. What are you waiting for? Do you want to rebel? Seeing that none of the surrounding Northern Battlefront Army soldiers took action, Lin Taishu stared at them and scolded loudly. Rebel? This word was not something that ordinary people could bear. Suddenly, the Northern Battlefront Army soldiers' faces all changed. After a few breaths, 2 Northern Battlefront Army soldiers handed their weapons to their companions, and slowly walked up to Kai Zian and said, "Sorry, Baihu Lord, we were forced to do this. Please forgive us, Baihu Lord." "It's okay. Do it," Kai Zian said, and stretched out his hands. His face was pale, and he was obviously disappointed with Lin Taishu's decision. The 2 Northern Battlefront Army soldiers found a rope from nowhere, and started to tie up Kai Zian's hands. Seeing this, the girl in soft armor was furious. She glared at Lin Taishu and was about to say something, but Morong Wushuang hurriedly pulled her back, and the girl in soft armor took a few steps back. Then, Morong Wushuang whispered in the girl's ear, "Calm down, when have you ever seen Master so stupid?" That player didn't expect that the storm shield he was so proud of would be broken so easily. He was so shocked that he didn't know how to react. The other 2 meteor mechas were planning to attack Xianxia, but at this moment, they were also dumbfounded. Their cannon fire was all off target because they were distracted. It wasn't that the storm shield couldn't break. However, no one had ever been able to break it so easily. Even a 3S mecha would find it difficult to do so. In an instant, the audience sucked in a breath of cold air. There was surprise and excitement in their eyes. That's too strong. What a scary mecha, how were those 2 beam blades made? They can break the storm shield when they advance and block particle cannons when they retreat. These are the perfect weapons. I want a weapon like that too. Xianxia is awesome. After breaking the storm shield, Xianxia easily cut down the other 2 mechas and went straight to the second stronghold. This time, Luo Wenchuan was slightly slower. He was more than 10 seconds later than Xianxia. Xianxia generously gave the chance to light the lantern to Luo Wenchuan and said to him, "You can do it this time. It's not good to let me light the lantern alone. You should experience it too." Luo Wenchuan laughed and said, "In the last few rounds, when you weren't around, I was the one who lit the lantern." In the NCLM competition, the 6v6 received a lot of attention. Every year, the winner of the finals would usually be recognized as the strongest player in the competition. This would also affect the selection of the MVP. It could be said that this was the highlight of every military academy student's life. Xianxia didn't want to monopolize this honor. After speaking, Luo Wenchuan pulled out his beam blade and stood outside the stronghold camp. He turned his back to Xianxia and spoke into Xianxia's ear through the communicator. "Don't just stand there. Light the lantern." Xianxia was stunned for a moment when he saw his calm and determined attitude. Then, he couldn't help but smile. He turned around, walked into the stronghold camp, and pressed the button on the tall battle light. In the second round of the competition, Noah Military Academy originally wanted to contain Xianxia and Luo Wenchuan, but they were completely defeated. Xianxia's lighting process went very smoothly. Before Noah's men arrived, the second foothold was occupied. A blue beam of light shot up into the sky. Attacking party, Shanghai Military Academy team successfully occupied the second stronghold. Time taken, 10 minutes and 41 seconds. The remaining time will be automatically added to the next round. After 2 rounds of the competition, Shanghai had only used about 23 minutes. This meant that they still had 37 minutes to occupy the last stronghold. Generally speaking, the terrain of the last stronghold was the most complicated, which was the most advantageous for the defending side. However, from the looks of it, Noah Military Academy had no advantage at all. They had no power to fight back in front of Galaxy. As last year's champion, everyone in Noah naturally hated Xianxia, who had caused all this. Noah's coach called for a timeout and asked the robot to help repair the severely damaged mecha. At the same time, he clenched his fists and said to everyone, "No matter what, you must guard against Xianxia this time." Everyone in Noah's team had heavy expressions, but they still obeyed the coach's arrangement. Obviously, they didn't want Xianxia to steal the limelight. "I guess that's all he has," the coach continued. "First, create the illusion that you're scattered, then find an opportunity to join forces and snipe Xianxia who's acting alone. He's so arrogant, he'll definitely fall." Noah's team spent 20 minutes to adjust their state of mind. Soon, the third round of the competition began. Noah arranged their formation at the last stronghold and prepared to fight with their backs to the wall. After Xianxia's observation, Noah didn't seem to have learned their lesson. They still scattered their forces and guarded the major passes near the stronghold. "Noah won't give up until they see the coffin," Kalibo sneered and said, "They're still using the same strategy as in the first round? Then we just have to do what we did before and we can win." Xianxia felt that Noah wasn't that simple. However, to him, no matter what strategy Noah used, it was useless. "Then we'll use the same strategy as before," Xianxia said casually, "pay attention to your cooperation." After Xianxia arranged the direction of his teammates, he went to the last stronghold alone. The environment around the third stronghold simulated a desert. There were many tall fortresses around it. Sand and stones were flying everywhere in the sand, which greatly affected one's vision. Galaxy's players engaged in close combat with Noah one after another. This time, Noah's strategy wasn't as aggressive as the previous 2 rounds. They weren't in a hurry to expose themselves. Instead, they chose to fight in a roundabout way. Kalibo and Xiaomi were fighting together. In the next second, their opponent blew up a fortress. For a moment, dust covered their vision and blocked their way forward. F***ck, Kalibo was stunned. Are Noah's people crazy? What are they trying to do? The defensive fortress was difficult to break from the outside, but it was still possible to destroy it from the inside. Blowing up the fortress meant that Noah had lost their terrain advantage. When the dust settled, Kalibo and Xiaomin could easily reach the stronghold even if they went around the ruins. At this moment, Ashley and Kulei's voices came from their communicators. "Noah blew up 2 of their defensive towers," Ashley said in shock. "The road here is blocked. What are they trying to do?" Kulei was stunned for a few seconds before he suddenly reacted. "They want to stop us so they can surround Xianxia." "What?" Xiaomin's eyes were full of surprise. "So, they split up at the beginning to lure us away? But blowing up their own defensive towers and fortresses. Isn't that too risky?" "Nothing ventured, nothing gained." Kalibo gritted his teeth. They'd rather lose the competition to take revenge on Xianxia. In fact, Noah's idea was very simple. They just wanted to lure the tiger away from the mountain. They wanted to sacrifice a portion of their defensive fortresses and concentrate the power of 6 people to kill Xianxia before fighting the others. It could be said that the threat of Xianxia's new mecha forced them to take this risk. On the other side, Luo Wenchuan was also in a similar situation. Because he heard his teammate's voice in advance, he activated the anti-gravity device and jumped up before his opponent blocked the road. He rushed towards Xianxia. "Xianxia, avoid the battle first," Luo Wenchuan said calmly. "I'll go over now." Xianxia was bullying Noah's captain. The captain was hiding everywhere and refused to surrender. He curled his lips and replied to Luo Wenchuan, "No need, I can handle it." At this moment, Noah's captain stopped playing hide-and-seek and faced Xianxia head-on. The audience also saw on the map that there were 5 other red dots moving towards Xianxia. It looked very dangerous. Although the people from Shanghai were also rushing over, they had to take a detour. They had taken a long detour, so the situation was not good. "Is Noah crazy?" Richard's eyes widened in shock. There was a hint of anger in his tone. "He's bullying Xianxia so blatantly?" Ao Liar looked at the screen nervously. He wondered if Xianxia's new mecha would be able to hold up this time. Xianxia easily blocked Noah's captain's attack. He turned on the loudspeaker and sneered. You want to fight 6 against 1? Don't you have any morals? The other party probably felt a little embarrassed and pretended to be calm. What do you mean by 6 against 1? I'm not sure. Last year's champion was forced to such a state. It was really embarrassing. However, when Noah's team collectively appeared around their captain, they immediately regained their morale. Everyone, do your best. Kill Xianxia. We have more people, so we still have a chance to win. The captain said to everyone through the communicator. In a while I'll shout the slogan. Everyone, attack that crazy mecha at full power. Noah's team began to adjust their posture and prepared to face this crazy mecha in front of them. The storm mecha, whose shield had been shattered by Xianxia just now, hit at the back. Noah's captain scolded in disappointment. You're a tank. Why are you hiding behind the meteor mecha? The storm mecha had no choice but to raise his new shield and fearfully walk to the front row. 6 mechas surrounded Xianxia's new mecha at the same time. Everyone was worried for him. The audience speculated. Although this mecha had displayed amazing strength from the beginning, it was difficult for 2 fists to fight against 4 hands. Xianxia was probably doomed this time. Now's the time. Noah's captain gave the order. Soon, 6 mechas attacked Xianxia at the same time. The scene was like a group of beasts pouncing on a little sheep, causing the audience to exclaim in unison. However, at this moment, fluorescent green data streams began to appear on the surface of the helmet on Xianxia's new mecha's head. No one knew what this was for. The next second, Noah's players suddenly widened their eyes. They only felt a splitting headache, ringing in their ears, and dizziness. Feel it. Xianxia curled his lips and said slowly, it's a spiritual attack from another world. F***ck. One of the players stopped immediately. It was as if a 1,000-pound stone was pressing on his nerves. This is a spiritual attack? Generally, mechas were equipped with devices to prevent spiritual attacks. However, it was obvious that the attack launched by Xianxia's mecha had far exceeded their means of defense. The audience did not know what had happened. They only saw that the 6 mechas that were rushing towards Xianxia just now stopped firing at the same time. They all held their heads in unison. Xianxia calmly jumped up and left the encirclement. He looked down at his opponents from the air. He was like a falcon admiring its prey. Noah's captain struggled to get up and tried to overcome the spiritual attack. However, he did not persist for long. His mecha suddenly moved on its own. Everyone in Noah's team widened their eyes. Their mechas were out of control. Let me think. What should I ask you to do? Xianxia raised his hand and pinched his chin. He looked like he was thinking. His mecha also did the same. It looked particularly horrifying. Why don't we dance? As soon as he finished speaking, the audience, who had yet to recover from their confusion and shock, suddenly saw the 6 mechas stand up at the same time. They formed a regular circle, tiptoed, and began to elegantly dance the classic Swan Lake. Among them, Noah's captain's mecha even thoughtfully played music. F***ck, the storm mecha warrior was about to go crazy. What is my mecha doing? Why can't I control it? Captain, you still have the mood to play music. I didn't play it. Noah's captain was already going crazy. He kept knocking on the control panel, trying to stop all this. The next moment, his lightsaber mecha tiptoed and did a 360-degree spin in the air. He almost fainted from the spinning. The original 6v1 encirclement battle turned into a 6v1 dance of 6 mecha swans. When Luo Wenchuan and the others arrived, they were all stunned. This. Kule was so scared that he could not speak. Xianxia has beaten Noah's people silly. Is this considered breaking the rules? Kalibo also hurriedly said, crippling people is a second-degree violation. Ashley held her forehead and said in a trembling voice, if we guessed wrong, they were not beaten silly. This is a mental attack, right? In other words, He Haoming's mouth opened so wide that a football could be stuffed in. Xianxia controlled their mechas? This is AF** King magical attack, right? Everyone fell into silence. Even Luo Wenchuan, who had seen countless big scenes, fell into a strange silence when he saw the 6 mechas elegantly and painstakingly raise their arms. Xianxia waved at his teammates, turned on the loudspeaker system, and said calmly, "You guys watch the show here. I'll go light up the lights." The Noah contestants who could not bear the humiliation, this was not a mental attack. This was mental torture. MW, calm, please keep in mind, comma. Hua Yihu said solemnly. He was not trying to intimidate Lin Taishu by using the tiger skin as a banner. After all, he was the young master of the Hua family. He represented the face and dignity of the Hua family in the imperial capital. Now that he was being assassinated, if he did not have the ability to take revenge, could he not ask his family to step in? Therefore, he spoke with a strong sense of righteousness. The aura of a noble young master emanated from his body. This Qian who naturally won't bend the law for personal gain. Lin Taishu immediately replied. There was a hint of fear on his face as if he was frightened. Then, he turned to look at Kai Zian. His eyes gradually turned cold. Seeing this, Morong Wushuang and the others looked at Lin Taishu in confusion. However, they only saw the surface. They did not notice the sneer in Lin Taishu's eyes. The website is about to close. Download the Love Reading app to watch the latest content for free. Since you're trying to scam me, I'll see who's the one who's going to scam me. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and apprehend the assassin who tried to kill this young master. Hua Yihu shouted. At this moment, he almost believed that Kai Zian really wanted to assassinate him. Especially when he saw Lin Taishu's awkward expression, he could not help but laugh in his heart. Just as the elders had guessed, as long as he insisted that Kai Zian wanted to assassinate him, Lin Taishu would not know what to do. Now that he used his family's name to pressure him, this trash would immediately panic. Although he knew that Lin Taishu was audacious and did what he did in the Hua family's courtyard, he felt that Lin Taishu had a reason to do so. Otherwise, how could a trash like him dare to be so presumptuous in front of the Hua family in the imperial capital, right? Especially when Hua Yihu realized that Lin Taishu's hesitation turned into fear as soon as he finished speaking, he was overjoyed. Men, arrest Kai Zian. After thinking for a while, Lin Taishu ordered with a timid look. Master, Lord Qianhu, hearing Lin Taishu's order, Morong Wushuang, the girl in soft armor, and Chao Hongfu were all stunned. Tao Tao PS //WW Omega EKBA with acute Omega. Never in their wildest dreams would they have thought that Lin Taishu would give such an absurd order. This must be an illusion, right? Chao Hongfu and the others comforted themselves in their hearts. However, compared to their confusion, Kai Zian and the surrounding northern battlefront army soldiers all looked shocked and angry, and glared at Lin Taishu. Fatuous ruler, no, bastard, how could you say such shameless words? Suddenly, while everyone was angry at Lin Taishu, they all showed great sadness and disappointment in their hearts. They were ordered to arrest Lin Taishu's assassin, but in the end, not only did they not catch the assassin, they were the ones who killed him. What the F***ck? How could this be so outrageous? Hua Yihu and Hua Ziyuan looked at each other and smiled, showing a trace of pride in their eyes. Just as they thought, the plan of giving him a taste of his own medicine really made Lin Taishu helpless, and they started killing each other. What a compliment. Immediately, they all looked at Lin Taishu and the others in a good mood, enjoying the dogfight that was about to unfold. What are you waiting for? Do you want to rebel? Seeing that the surrounding northern battlefront army soldiers didn't move, Lin Taishu stared at them and scolded loudly. Rebel? This word was not something that normal people could bear. Suddenly, the northern battlefront army soldiers' faces all changed. After a few breaths, 2 northern battlefront army soldiers handed their weapons to their companions, and slowly walked up to Kai Zian and said, Sorry, Lord Baihu, we were forced to do this. Please forgive us, Lord Baihu. It's okay. Do it. Kai Zian said, and stretched out his hands. His face was pale, and he was obviously disappointed with Lin Taishu's decision. The 2 northern battlefront army soldiers found a rope from nowhere, and started to tie up Kai Zian's hands. Seeing this, the girl in soft armor was furious. She glared at Lin Taishu and was about to say something, but Morong Wushuang hurriedly pulled her back, and the girl in soft armor took a few steps back. Then, Morong Wushuang whispered to the girl in soft armor, "Calm down, when have you ever seen Master so stupid?" After Xianxia finished speaking, she left behind the group of mechas who were still doing ballet. Under their embarrassed and angry gazes, she slowly walked into the camp of the third stronghold. The other members of Xinghai were watching these humanoid mechanical beasts to prevent any accidents from happening. Xianxia pressed the button for the last battle light, and everyone's eyes focused on him. In the last minute of the live stream, the bullet screen was filled with ha 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 and ah. The audience couldn't stop laughing because of the mecha ballet, but they were also excited because Galaxy was about to become the champion. On the field of Xinghai Military Academy, the students who were watching the match saw Xianxia press the button and silently counted down in their hearts. They were so nervous that they held their breaths. Everything seemed to be going well. Halfway through the countdown, something happened to the 6 mechas dancing at the side. Noah's captain was indeed an SS-level psychic powerhouse. After struggling for a while, his dance gradually became different from the people around him. In other words, he was gradually breaking free from Xianxia's mental control. Inside the mecha, Captain Noah's expression was twisted in pain. In order to break free from the control, he was so tired that he was sweating profusely. His lips were slightly pale. He had never felt so uncomfortable in his life, but in order to prevent Xinghai from winning the championship, he gritted his teeth and persevered. Soon, the other members of the Xinghai school team noticed the mecha. They immediately maintained a high level of vigilance and prepared to step forward to stop him. However, Xianxia was keenly aware of this. He didn't stop lighting the lamp. Instead, he reached out a hand and gently tossed it in the direction of the mech that had lost control. A small black Rubik's cube drew a parabola in the air. Soon, the mecha unfolded in the air, causing everyone's eyes to widen. "Ah, isn't that, damn, are my eyes playing tricks on me? Xianxia's ugly cat is back." Under everyone's surprised gazes, the mechanical beast that had once dominated the competition grounds descended from the sky and accurately, he sat down on the head of Captain Noah's lightsaber mech, and a loud sound rang out. The lightsaber mech, which was about to break free from the spiritual control, was smashed by the mechanical beast that fell from the sky. As it lost its balance, it fell to the ground. Then, Ugly Cat sat on the lightsaber mech and displayed its usual overwhelming power. After everyone saw the situation clearly, they couldn't help but discuss excitedly. "It seems to have gained weight? Why do mechanical beasts grow fat?" "It's probably because Xianxia modified it. But it's still as ugly and adorable as ever." "That's great. I thought I wouldn't be able to see it." Xianxia's mechanical beast appeared at the last moment, making up for the small regret in everyone's hearts. It could be considered as a perfect ending to this year's NCLM. Everyone from Xinghai felt a sense of security when they saw the cat. Delta DL degrees Celsius XW. Concalibo sneered and teased, "This cat hasn't changed much. Xianxia doesn't even know how to modify it." Before he could finish his sentence, the third beam of blue light lit up high, and the emblem of the shield shone in it. Xianxia let go of her fingers and could not help but smile. A robotic female voice sounded, "Frowny face attacking team, Xinghai Military Academy has successfully occupied the third stronghold. Time taken, 7 minutes and 15 seconds. This meant that Xinghai Military Academy had won the 6v6 attack and defense battle. The score changed from 2-5 to 6-5 in an instant. Xinghai Military Academy had directly overtaken Noah Military Academy and become the champions of NCLM this year. All the commentators sent their most sincere congratulations at this moment, congratulating this dark horse team for defeating last year's champions and bringing the audience such an exciting match. We won. Although Kule had already expected this result, at this moment, the feeling of joy still made him ecstatic. He Haomin raised his head and looked at the towering beam of light. He said in a daze, "We really became the champions? Last year, they could only be bystanders. This year, they had defeated all the strong teams from the major military academies and crushed Noah Military Academy in the finals." Happiness came too quickly. It made them feel happy and excited at the same time. That's right. We are the champions. Ashley shouted excitedly through the loudspeaker system. We are going to have a big meal tonight. Kalibo said in a rare happy tone, how can one meal be enough? Luo Wenchuan was very calm. He operated his lightsaber mech and walked towards Yunxing's new mech. Yunxingza was also walking towards him. The two mechas of similar height stood facing each other. They did not speak, but they seemed to be in harmony. When the people from Shanghai saw this, they were all attracted by this scene. They knew that a lot of the credit for being able to win this competition was due to Xianxia and Luo Wenchuan. The two mechas extended their mechanical arms at the same time and lightly bumped the back of their fists. The sound of metal colliding echoed faintly in the flying dust. The blue beam of light became their background. Outside the arena, the audience applauded and cheered for Shanghai's victory. At the same time, they were touched by the relationship between Xianxia and Luo Wenchuan. The love of fighting side by side is so cool. Didn't you see? After winning, they immediately looked at each other. Ah, what kind of love is this? Lu Ranxiu and the others sat on the field of Shanghai Military Academy. The surrounding voices had already set off a wave of waves. Some people were cheering, some people were releasing confetti, some people were throwing popcorn. We are first. Shanghai won. They finally won the championship. In the midst of the noise, Lu Ranxiu heard the live broadcast commentator's voice say, Commentator A, everyone can see that after the competition ended, Luo Wenchuan and Yunxingza immediately walked together. Many people in the audience were excited by this scene. I wonder if it was because of their love. Commentator B, actually, I think that what is more precious than their love is that the lightsaber mech is the first mech of the Empire. It represents the original intention of the mech industry. Yunxing's new mech technology shocked everyone. It represents the new era of the mech industry. The two of them, one symbolized the glory of the Empire in the past, the other symbolized the hope of the galaxy in the future. The fist bump of the two mechas seemed to tell everyone that the mech industry had always been upholding its legacy and would carry forward this glory. At this moment, Lu Ranxiu's eyes suddenly felt hot. When Yunxingza first signed up for the mech grand tournament, he thought that Yunxingza would give up quickly. However, he did not expect Xianxia to create a huge miracle. Next year, I want to join the school team too. Lu Ranxiu clenched his fist and said with fighting spirit, I want to join NCLM too. Su Zinan chuckled and teased, then you have to hurry up. After all, you can't even beat me now. During this time, Su Zinan had been helping to run the Omega Mech Association. He also helped Lu Ranxiu with his training. Naturally, he was very clear about Lu Ranxiu's strength. Lu Ranxiu instantly blushed and turned to glare at him. Don't be so smug. I'll beat you sooner or later. Su Zinan inexplicably saw the shadow of Yunxingza in Lu Ranxiu. Su Zinan was stunned for a few seconds. A complicated emotion flashed through his eyes. Then, he suddenly curled his lips and slowly said to Lu Ranxiu, okay, I'll look forward to that day. In the past, Su Zinan looked down on Omega players like Lu Ranxiu. But now, he really began to look forward to seeing Lu Ranxiu grow up and shine in the arena. After the 6v6 match ended, the players left the super-large attack and defense arena and returned to the main arena. In the middle of the arena, a famous band from the Empire was performing a hot-blooded song for the players. When the two teams returned to the arena, the audience gave them a warm round of applause. Among these people, Yunxingza was naturally the most eye-catching. Many audience members shouted at him, Xingza big boss is awesome, Yunxingza, you're so handsome, Yunxingza, how much is your mecha selling for, Yunxingza, let me pet your cat. Although Noah's players had been defeated by Yunxingza, the few main players who participated in the 6v6 match were a little unsteady at the moment. They felt like they were still dancing ballet. However, even though Noah 6v6 lost miserably and lost the championship, they were still very interested in Yunxing's new mecha after leaving the arena. They wanted to know what kind of mecha that terrifying mecha was. Then, everyone went on stage to accept the award. After many years, Shanghai finally won the NCLM Champions League trophy again. Yunxingza picked up the trophy. The snowflake paper and ribbons drifted down in mid-air, giving him a sense of unreality. The small trophy represented the path he had walked during this period of time. The next second, Luo Wenchuan's voice sounded in his ear, "Are you happy?" Xianxia turned to look at the young and good-looking man. He saw that his hair was stained with some confetti, but it could not hide his handsomeness. "I'm happy." Xianxia curled the corners of his lips and replied, "I'm very happy to win the competition. I'm also very happy to have you by my side, so I'm twice as happy." Luo Wenchuan was stunned. Then, the corners of his lips curled up slightly, and his eyes looked straight at Xianxia. Xianxia was once again immersed in Luo Wenchuan's narrow and beautiful eyes. Just as he was a little absent-minded, Luo Wenchuan suddenly moved closer to him, slowly lowered his head, and planted a kiss on Xianxia's lips with a smile. This scene was captured by the camera of the live broadcast. Not only did the audience witness the actions of the two with their own eyes, but they also saw the scene of Luo Wenchuan smiling and kissing Xianxia on the big screen of the live broadcast. "Ah, this is too flirtatious. Luo Wenchuan is actually smiling. He's actually smiling. It's so sweet. Ah, please get married on the spot. I'll give you a bonus." Screams rang out everywhere. The audience had never seen such a gentle and seductive Luo Wenchuan, nor had they seen Xianxia with such hot cheeks. The entire stadium seemed to be filled with a romantic pink atmosphere. They stood on the winner's podium and kissed without restraint for half a minute. The teammates on the side also widened their eyes. This unexpected scene almost made them lose their grip on the trophy. Then, the teammates also cheered and applauded them. Glory and love intertwined at this moment. After the awards ceremony, the organizers began to choose the MVP. Everyone was guessing whether this title would be given to Luo Wenchuan or Xianxia. Perhaps it was because the performances of the two were too outstanding, but the organizing committee, which used to be very fast in the past, was in a difficult situation at this moment. However, they still gave the answer in the end. After the host received the results, he took the microphone and announced to the audience, after the selection of the organizing committee, the MVP of this year's NCLM is. When Luo Wenchuan heard this, he grabbed Xianxia's wrist and turned his head to look at her. He did not say anything, but the corners of his lips curled up and his eyes were full of gentleness. Xianxia also looked at him. The moment the two of them looked at each other, the host's voice was heard, "Xianxia and Luo Wenchuan. That's right, there are two of them." The audience was so shocked that they fell silent for a while before they understood what had happened. This was the first time in the history of NCLM that the MVP award was given to two players at the same time. However, no one felt that it was unreasonable. One of them had a stable performance on the field and led Shanghai through the most difficult moments. He displayed extremely strong dominance with the most primitive lightsaber mecha. The host continued to read the contents of the manuscript. The other one won by surprise on the field and became the anchor of Shanghai. With the most novel modifications and the most unyielding spirit, he brought us miracle after miracle. Let us congratulate them. Xianxia was not surprised by this special result at all. It was as if this glory belonged to them in the first place. The organizers gave the two of them two golden mecha-shaped trophies. This trophy was much more valuable than the championship trophy. It seemed heavy in Xianxia's hands. After the award, the host specially interviewed Xianxia. "Xianxia, now that you are the MVP, you can receive a special mecha. What kind of mecha do you want it to be?" "I want it to be a new type of mecha," Xianxia said calmly. "It would be best if it was built under my guidance. It would be best if it was built under my guidance." When the leaders of the organizers heard this, they were all silent for a few seconds. This was the first time in history that a contestant dared to say such a thing. However, no one dared to refute him. They were even looking forward to witnessing the birth of a second new type of mecha. After a few seconds of shock, the host commented, "Xianxia, I believe that they will be happy to listen to your guidance." Then, the host asked Luo Wenchuan the same question. Luo Wenchuan's answer was, "The type of mecha is not important. The key is that it has to be the same color, the same size, and the same materials as Xianxia's. You want to make a couple's mecha?" The host said in disbelief. "Oh my God, are you going to use mechas to show off your love in the future?" Luo Wenchuan curled his lower lip slightly and did not comment. Xianxia nodded and agreed with Luo Wenchuan's decision. Who wouldn't want a couple's mecha for free? For a moment, the audience was envious and jealous of the two of them. Not only did they become the first double MVPs in history, they could even receive a couple's mecha, Kule shouted angrily from the side. Don't be so cruel to single people. Do we have to see you guys date in a couple's mecha every day in the school team? That's right, this is too much. Boycott the couple's mecha. Please consider the feelings of single people. Protest. Luo Wenchuan glanced at his teammates, sneered, and slowly spat out 4 words. Protest. Is ineffective. After the MVP award was announced, everyone was supposed to walk down the podium. At this moment, Xianxia suddenly said to the host, "Can I borrow your loudspeaker robot?" The host was stunned. Although he did not understand what Xianxia wanted, he quickly handed it to him. Then, Xianxia said to the loudspeaker robot in the air, "I want to use this platform to tell everyone that the new mecha I piloted in the competition will be auctioned on the official website of Xingchuan Mecha Company. Everyone can pay attention to it." Oh right, no cats. This new mecha was modified and developed by Xianxia himself. Its performance could only be considered average. Therefore, Xianxia's initial plan was to display its performance in the competition and sell it after the competition. The funds obtained would be the first income of Xingchuan Mecha Company. It would play a crucial role in the company's future development. The host was stunned. It took a while for him to react. You came to NCLM to advertise? Xianxia's mecha had stunned everyone in the competition. Now that news of it being auctioned spread, it would naturally attract a lot of attention. Only then did everyone understand that Xianxia was not only here for the competition, but also for the opportunity to advertise for free. The effect of the advertisement was perfect. In the audience, the people who were about to leave the stage suddenly became excited. F***CK. This mecha is actually for sale? Why not a cat? I want a cat. Forget it. Even if you get a cat, you won't be able to control it. Only Xianxia can control that mecha. How much is it for? Will I have a chance to buy it? Xianxia continued, a portion of the money from the sale will be used for Xingchuan Mecha Company to continue developing new mechas. The remaining portion will be used to establish the Galactic Empire Omega Mecha Association to support the development of Omega in the mecha industry. At the same time, Xingchuan Mecha Company welcomes all capable people to join us. These words clearly told everyone that this auction was not purely for profit. It was to promote the development of the mecha industry. Suddenly, everyone was looking forward to this auction even more. In the live broadcast room, the screen was filled with comments. They were all asking when they could participate in the auction. Even the big shots of the major mecha companies had secretly saved Xingchuan Mecha Company's official website, ready to participate in the auction at any time. After the competition ended, the news of Xinghai winning the championship naturally caused a wave of discussion. The birth of the 2 MVPs was also discussed enthusiastically by netizens. However, the most eye-catching thing was Xianxia's last words. The netizens praised Xianxia. Not only was she strong and intelligent, she also had a sense of responsibility that ordinary entrepreneurs did not have. Xingchuan Mecha Company took advantage of this and immediately became one of the top trending searches on the platform. They were called the future hope of the mecha industry. There had never been a new company that could attract so much attention in such a short period of time. The Yun family naturally paid attention to this news. Yun Chongqing had been troubled these few days because of the huge drop in the stock price. He wanted to reconcile with Xianxia, but he could not find a chance. Chongqing Mecha Company was also falling apart internally. The higher-ups were divided and the entire company was in a state of decline. Compared to Xingchuan Mecha Company, which had attracted a lot of attention even before it was listed, it was like the setting sun. When the news of Xianxia winning the championship came out, Chongqing Mecha Company's stock price fell again. After Xianxia announced that they would be auctioning off the mecha, Chongqing Mecha Company's stock price fell to an all-time low. It was as if the more powerful Xianxia was, the more it would prove that Yun Chongqing was incompetent and blind. Yun Chongqing could no longer be stubborn. The stock price was enough to prove Xianxia's strength. It also made him live in regret and self-reflection every day. Say, if Xianxia gave us the technology and let Chongqing produce this mecha, Yun Chongqing's face was haggard. He said to Qin Shuang in a hoarse voice, "Would our company become like this?" Qin Shuang had been busy organizing various documents and holding a shareholders' meeting for the past few days. Compared to Yun Chongqing's decadence, she was more like the CEO of this company. She had the aura of a strong woman. There are no ifs. Qin Shuang looked at Yun Xing's message on his optical supercomputer and said calmly, "I can only try my best to prevent Chongqing Mecha Company from going bankrupt." Yun Chongqing waved his hand and said to Qin Shuang, "You're just an omega. What can you do?" Qin Shuang looked at him and didn't say anything. A few days later, Xinchuan's mecha website went online for the auction. Yun Xing's mecha in the finals officially appeared in the system as an auction item. There were still 24 hours left on the countdown and the number of people who entered the website had exceeded 100 million. The number of viewers was still rising rapidly. Yun Xianxia didn't set any auction restrictions. In other words, anyone could participate in the auction. Therefore, the neighboring federation sent many people to participate in the auction. It could be said that the higher-ups of the federation had been eyeing this mecha for a long time. In the introduction of the mecha, Yun Xianxia clearly stated that this mecha used spiritual power amplification technology. There were no restrictions on spiritual power. At the same time, it was equipped with advanced weapons that no one had ever heard of. Of course, Yun Xianxia had encrypted all these technologies. Even if the buyer bought the mecha, they wouldn't be able to understand the secrets of the mecha's technology without decades or centuries of research. Even so, the number of people who wanted to participate in the auction still reached a shocking number. There were still 3 hours left on the countdown and the number of viewers had soared to 1 billion. Of course, there were people who kept refreshing the page to watch the show. However, this number was enough to prove that Yun Xianxia had successfully shaken the entire mecha industry with its own strength. There was still half an hour left on the countdown and the number of viewers had exceeded 1.5 billion. More and more netizens squeezed into the official website. Everyone wanted to witness the moment when the auction was completed. The countdown ended and the auction began. The starting price was 20 million star credits. This price wasn't considered expensive among mechas above S-class. Moreover, the quality of Yun Xianxia's mecha had already surpassed 3S. The first person to participate in the auction was CEO Liu of the Empire's Qilin Mecha Company. He directly raised the price to 100 million star credits. Everyone was collectively shocked. It's already so aggressive, 100 million. I've never seen so much money in my life. Those who participated in the auction had to have more balance in their cards than the starting price to participate in the auction. Even so, there was still a group of rich people who continued to increase the price. 120 million, 190 million, 230 million, every time the price was refreshed, it was a number that was enough to make one's heart skip a beat. At this moment, in the conference rooms of all the major mecha companies, the senior executives were all witnessing this auction. What? Xinjiang Mecha Company is bidding 300 million? Where did they get so much money? We can't let them snatch it away. Our budget is 1 billion. Follow up with 310 million, 310 million isn't enough. Minghai Mecha Company is raising the price. Then continue to follow up. We must get this mecha today. Yun Xianxia sat in front of the optical computer. This crazy bidding made him feel a little surprised. I already said that the mecha technology is encrypted. Yun Xianxia looked at the optical computer and couldn't help but mutter, why are these people still so crazy? He underestimated the passion of the rich people of the empire for mechas. When the price exceeded 500 million star credits, the number of private buyers participating in the auction greatly decreased. Even small companies couldn't afford it. The remaining people were either business giants or well-prepared teams of mecha companies. The Federation next door was also secretly broadcasting this auction. The netizens of the Federation collectively exploded in the bullet screen. Our Federation is richer than the Empire. Why aren't they following up? Which buyer was sent by the Federation? I really want to know. Hurry up and buy it. We need this kind of mecha. Otherwise, the Federation's mecha will be finished. Where are the rich people of the Federation? They usually flaunt their wealth every day. Why aren't they here at this critical moment? Soon, the price was raised to more than 800 million star credits. Even the largest company in the galaxy might not be able to achieve this amount of revenue in a year. However, Xianxia easily achieved this through this auction. Gradually, the speed of the auction slowed down. The people participating in the auction also attracted a lot of attention. Among them, there were a few suspicious people who were identified by the netizens of the Empire. They didn't seem to be buyers from the Empire. F***ck, don't tell me the people from the Federation are also here to join in the fun? Xianxia is from the Empire. The mecha is also from the Empire. Get lost. Although I know the Federation can't break the encryption technology even if they get the mecha, I just don't want them to get it. The Federation was so tough when negotiating with the Empire. Why are they secretly buying the Empire's mecha now? Because the Federation won't be able to develop this mecha even if they research it for another 100 years. Buyers from the Empire, hurry up and buy the mecha. Don't let the Federation snatch it away. The Interstellar Federation was once hostile to the Empire. The citizens of the Federation had always felt that the Federation's technology was more advanced than the Empire's, so they were full of a sense of superiority. At this moment, seeing how the Federation was so interested in the mecha developed by Xianxia, the netizens of the Empire suddenly felt proud and elated. Not long after, the people sent by the Federation and the Empire started a bidding war. Within 5 minutes, the price broke through 1 billion. Within 20 minutes, the price broke through 1.7 billion. In the history of the galaxy, there had never been a mecha or product that could be sold at such a price. This was an astronomical figure. In the end, the price of this mecha was fixed at 132 billion star credits. It was bought by a low-key private buyer from the Empire. This transaction amount directly washed out the hot search on all major platforms and dominated all major news websites. Almost the entire galaxy was using these headlines to report, Xianxia mecha successfully auctioned, transaction price reached an astronomical figure of 132 billion. Private buyer from the Empire spent a lot of money to buy Xianxia mecha, creating a mecha auction record. Xianxia creates another miracle. First, Xianxia mecha triggers auction craze. After 3 days and 3 nights of news bombardment, Xianxia's new mecha finally had its official name, Xianxia mecha. This was because all the core technology of this mecha was created by Xianxia alone. In the past, new mechas were jointly developed by groups of scientists, but this new mecha was different. Of course, Xianxia himself felt ashamed of this name. He sat in the chairman's office, face-bombed, and said, "Why is my name the name of the mecha? This is too strange." Luo Wenchuan smiled and comforted him, "Isn't this pretty good? In the future, everyone who wants to learn about mechas will know your name in the textbooks." Xianxia thought about it. This seemed pretty good. The speed at which he entered the textbooks was faster than in his previous life. However, those students who can't recite the Xianxia mecha's performance during the exam will probably criticize you in their hearts, Luo Wenchuan teased. Xianxia couldn't help but laugh out loud. Then I reckon that Xianxia mecha won't be the only test point in the future. This was just a small beginning. He still wanted to create a mecha that was even more powerful than in his previous life and personally pilot the mecha to sweep the competition. After Xianxia received this auction income, the scale of the company suddenly expanded unstoppably, and there was an endless stream of employees who came to apply for the job. Shanghai Military Academy specially gave Xianxia some time off to manage the company well and strive to get it on the right track as soon as possible. This was a preferential treatment for the champion and MVP, and also an affirmation of his strength. Within a week, Xianxia recruited a group of extremely outstanding employees. Xianxia followed his principles. He only recruited people based on ability, not gender or age. Therefore, he discovered many talented people in Omega and Beta. There were even many people from the Research Institute who jumped ship to Xingchuan Mecha Company, such as Eugene. Eugene went from being Xianxia's research assistant to the chairman directly to the chairman. Regarding the employees jumping ship, Qingyuan said, "Actually, I want to jump ship too, but I'm the dean." However, although Qingyuan couldn't jump ship, he still signed a series of cooperation contracts with Xingchuan Mecha Company. This was Xianxia's repayment to Qingyuan. After Qingyuan received the contract, he was so happy that he danced his favorite girl group dance in the room. Soon, Xianxia Mecha Company began to take shape, and cooperation orders flew in like snowflakes, directly lining up until a year later. In addition to developing the company, Xianxia also fulfilled his promise. Using Shanghai Military Academy's Omega Mecha Association as a reference, he created a mecha association for all Omega in the empire and gave financial support. The identity of the first president was very special. Even Xianxia didn't expect, it was Luo Wenchuan's sister, the third princess of the royal family, Luo Di. She had long admired Xianxia. She was also an Omega who liked mecha, but because of her weak spiritual power, she couldn't operate a mecha. Xianxia's reform made her see the hope of Omega in the mecha industry. Therefore, Luo Di stood up and volunteered to be the president of the association. Xianxia was naturally happy to see the third princess join, with her enthusiasm. And with someone of high status, the Omega Mecha Association would definitely be able to establish itself in a short time. When Luo Di saw Xianxia, she said excitedly to her, "Sister-in-law, don't worry. I will definitely live up to your expectations. I will definitely expand the scale of the association and work hard to cultivate talents for the empire." She looked at Xianxia with eyes full of admiration. She wasn't looking at her as a sister-in-law, but as a second parent. "Dechuan and I aren't married yet." Xianxia was stunned by her calling her sister-in-law. Her expression was a little unnatural. "You'd better not call me that. In my heart, you are the only sister-in-law," Luo Di said sincerely. Luo Di said with sincerity, "In my opinion, second brother is yours. If he dares not to marry you." "Oh no, if he dares not to marry you, I will let him know what it means to turn against one another." It was enough to show how deep Luo Di's admiration for Xianxia was. In fact, almost all the Omega in the Interstellar worshipped Xianxia. When they heard that Xianxia had founded the Empire's Omega Mecha Association, Lu Ranqiu and Su Zinan applied to let Shanghai Academy's association become a branch of the Empire's association. Xianxia readily agreed and expressed his appreciation for the two's approach. Soon, all the military academies in the Empire began to establish corresponding associations. This atmosphere even changed other non-military academies. This was because Xianxia used her strength to let everyone know that it was useless for Omega to rely on the value of reproduction to exchange for social status. Only the value of labor was the right way out. They had to unite to fight for rights. When Lu Ranqiu saw Xianxia, she cried and said, "Xianxia, how did you find an assistant so quickly?" "I still want to be your assistant," Xianxia comforted her. "It won't be too late to find me after you graduate." Lu Ranqiu held Xianxia's hand tightly. "It's a promise." During this time, Su Zinan had already paid off most of the fees owed to Xianxia by working part-time. He also ran the school's association quite well. Therefore, Xianxia also promised Su Zinan that if he was short of money in the future, he could intern at Xianxia Mecha Company. Although this was just an insignificant position for Xianxia, Su Zinan was so stunned that she was at a loss for words. It should be known that a few months ago, it was harder for an Omega to intern at a large mecha company on the capital star than to reach the sky. Su Zinan swallowed, tightened his fingers, and said softly, thank you for being willing to give me a chance. In the future, don't think about competing with other Omega, Xianxia said lightly. With your ability, you are enough to be an alpha opponent. Su Zinan nodded solemnly. I will. After solving the two major issues of the company's operations and the Omega Association, a month's time was up. Xianxia lamented that there was not enough time. On the other hand, the outside world was amazed. Xianxia only took a short month to complete a seemingly impossible miracle. Not only did it increase the market value of Xianxia Mecha Company countless times, but it also greatly promoted the Omega affirmative action movement. Of course, in addition to these two things, Xianxia was also quietly working on a third matter. On this day, in Chongqing Mecha Company, everyone's face was clouded with worry. A month ago, Chongqing also participated in the Xianxia Mecha auction. However, his assets were limited and could only be ranked in the 500 million echelon. If the stock price had not fallen, he might have been able to fight for it. Now, there was no chance at all. His value had shrunk many times. During the meeting, one of the shareholders said, "Why don't we sell the company?" Yun Chongqing slammed the table and said angrily, "No, this is my life's work. How can I sell it?" He did not have much ability in his life. Chongqing was his last pride. However, he seemed to have forgotten that from the beginning of the company to the scale, the real hero was not him, but Qin Shuang. Another major shareholder said, "Xianxia mecha company is now at the peak of its power. I can foresee that in the next few decades, Xianxia will be the number one in the mecha industry." However, he said that he will not cooperate with Chongqing. "What else can we do?" Yun Chongqing's face did not look good. He knew that he was forced into a dead end, but he still could not accept this fact. His son, Yun Xingze, made him fall into the abyss without any effort. Another shareholder added, "Aren't you courting death by going against Yun Xingze? I don't know what you were thinking in the beginning. You wanted to marry him off. TSK TSK TSK. His tone was full of sarcasm. Yun Chongqing was angry and regretful when he heard it. At this moment, Qin Shuang looked at everyone and suddenly said, "Since everyone is willing to sell the company, I would like to take this opportunity to tell everyone something." Yun Chongqing was stunned. He did not expect Qin Shuang to say something like this. His eyes widened and he had a bad feeling. Then, Qin Shuang projected his optical supercomputer on the screen. On it was a draft of the acquisition contract. She continued, "Not long ago, I negotiated with a company about the acquisition. As long as the shareholders vote to give up their right of first refusal, the acquisition can be completed right now." Yun Chongqing was stunned. The ominous feeling in his heart had come true. "Qin Shuang, what are you talking about?" Yun Chongqing stood up and asked in a trembling voice, "This is our joint effort. How can you sell it out?" Qin Shuang crossed his legs and looked at him from the corner of his eyes. He said coldly, "Yun Chongqing, I spent a lot of effort to run this company. It was destroyed because of your stupid brain. Now, selling it is the only way out." Yun Chongqing's fingers trembled. He asked weakly, "Who do you plan to sell the company to?" Qin Shuang sat up straight and looked at the shareholders. He said slowly, "Xingchuan Mecha Company." Xingze said that he doesn't have enough space. He wants us to sell this land and the company to him. Yun Chongqing did not expect Yun Xingze to take over his company. This was a great humiliation. You. Yun Chongqing was so angry that he could not speak. Have you seen a boss whose son is the father? Then, he turned to look at the shareholders. He gritted his teeth and said, "Don't be fooled. Yun Xingze taking over a company is not a good thing." However, the shareholders were very happy. "Great. As long as Xingze is willing to let me keep some of my shares, I will be a shareholder of Xingchuan in the future. That's great. I have had enough of seeing the stock price fluctuate. If Chongqing becomes a subsidiary of Xingchuan, our future will be bright." Yun Chongqing almost fainted from anger when he saw the shareholders changing sides without hesitation. He said in a trembling voice, "You bunch of ingrates. You. Other than Yun Chongqing, all the other shareholders agreed to Xingchuan's offer." Qin Shuang invited Yun Xingze to sign the contract in front of Yun Chongqing. 3 days later, Chongqing Mecha Company became a subsidiary of Xingchuan Mecha Company. Yun Xingze had a large sum of money now. He bought almost all of Chongqing's shares. He only kept a small portion and let the original shareholders continue to hold the shares. Of course, Yun Chongqing and Qin Shuang's shares were all taken over by him. Yun Chongqing watched as Yun Xingze did all these things. There was nothing he could do. In the conference room of Chongqing's building, the Yun family gathered together. Yun Wu also knew about this. However, he was much calmer than Yun Chongqing. After all, he knew what Yun Chongqing did. He only had himself to blame for this. "Yun Xingze, are you planning to kick your parents out?" Yun Chongqing looked at Yun Xingze in disbelief. Then, he looked at Qin Shuang. "And you, have you been busy betraying Chongqing all this time?" Qin Shuang didn't say anything. She looked at Yun Xingze and said slowly, "I know that I can't make up for what happened in the past. Take this acquisition as my apology to you." Thanks to Qin Shuang's help, Xingchuan was able to purchase Chongqing successfully at the most favorable price. Xingchuan wasn't listed yet, but Chongqing was. this was undoubtedly a good thing for Xianxia. I know. Xianxia walked to Qin Shuang and said slowly, Qin Shuang, you're very capable. Although you're no longer a shareholder, I'm willing to give you a chance to make up for your mistakes. As long as you do well in Xingchuan, I'll give you back your shares. As soon as he said that, Qin Shuang's eyes were filled with shock and joy. You're still willing to help me? I'm not helping you. Xianxia curled her lips. Her eyes were unfathomable. I'm just trying to maximize the benefits. That being said, this was an enormously good thing for Qin Shuang. Yun Chongqing was powerless to change the situation. He had to put down his pride, pursed his lips, and asked Yun Xingzi awkwardly. What about me? Xingzi, what position are you going to give me? Yun Xingzi stared coldly at Yun Chongqing. Suddenly, he sneered. Calling me Xingzi makes me feel like an outsider. Yun Chongqing didn't notice the coldness in Yun Xingzi's words. He swallowed and forced a smile. My good son, you. Before he could finish his sentence, Yun Xingzi sat in the chairman's seat and looked at Yun Chongqing with his legs crossed. I'm your boss, not your son. Yun Chongqing's expression changed. He looked as if he had swallowed a fly. However, in order to protect his wealth for the rest of his life and maintain his relationship with his son, he swallowed the humiliation and said, Boss, you're right. Thank you for not holding a grudge against me. As a father with a strong sense of self-esteem, it was easy to imagine how sour it felt to call his son boss. Yun Xingzi could see the sweat on Yun Chongqing's forehead. Okay, you can come to work in Xingchuan tomorrow. Yun Xingzi waved his hand and said generously. Before Yun Chongqing could feel happy, Yun Xingzi's next sentence stunned him. I happen to need someone to clean the toilets. Yun Chongqing's face turned red and white. In the end, it turned pale. He asked in disbelief, You want me to clean the toilets in your company? Yun Xingzi, I'm your father. Get out if you don't want to. Yun Xingzi stood up and said sternly, Remember, other than cleaning the toilets in Xingchuan, you have no other choice. Yun Chongqing knew very well that Yun Xingzi was in the limelight now. After he was kicked out, there was no way he could make a comeback. No one would help him. The humiliation made Yun Chongqing's lips turn pale and he almost fainted. After provoking Yun Chongqing, Yun Xingzi smirked and looked at him condescendingly like he was the victor. Did you think this day would come when you forced me to get engaged? When Yun Chongqing heard this, he could no longer control himself. His legs turned to jelly and he almost fell to the ground. Fortunately, Yun Wu was quick enough to catch him. Yun Chongqing seemed to be holding on to his last hope. He said to Yun Wu, Little Wu, you won't betray me, right? As long as you study hard in the military academy, I will support you in the future. Yun Xingzi looked at Yun Wu. He did not have any animosity towards his younger brother. He asked, Yun Wu, do you want to be a mecha pilot in the future? Yun Wu was stunned. He did not expect his brother to ask him this question. After thinking for a while, Yun Wu answered. No. Yun Wu shook his head firmly. Ever since I was young, my father has always asked me to study mechas. However, this is not my hobby. He has never asked me what I like. Yun Chongqing looked at Yun Wu in disbelief. Are you crazy? Yun Xingzi asked calmly, then what do you want to do? I want to be an architect. Yun Wu pursed his lips and said embarrassedly, if I can become someone like my brother in the field of design, that would be great. This was the first time Yun Wu mentioned his dream. Qin Shuang and Yun Chongqing were surprised. Yun Xingzi said to Yun Wu, that's good. As long as you have a dream, I can support you and let you go to the best architecture school. Yun Chongqing said angrily, what kind of career is that? It's for the weak Omega. Yun Wu, you. Shut up, Yun Chongqing. Yun Xingzi did not have the patience to watch his performance. He said coldly, it's not your turn to clean the toilet. In the future, please get out of the capital star. Yun Chongqing looked at Yun Xingzi and was about to go crazy. Yun Xingzi, how can you be so evil? Not only did you use Qin Shuang to buy the company, you even encouraged your brother to do such a useless thing. You're promising? Yun Xingzi suddenly sneered and said mockingly, Yun Chongqing, before you try to control other people's lives, look at yourself first. Your fate is in my hands now. Yun Chongqing fell into despair after hearing this. His company was bought, his family betrayed him, and he suffered a mental blow. Finally, he could not bear the humiliation and fainted. Qin Shuang looked at the unconscious Yun Chongqing, but there was no pity in his eyes. Yun Wu was a little worried. He asked Yun Xianxia, will something happen to him? Also, what will happen to him in the future? Either I go out and beg, or I live off your women and live off your whims. Yun Xianxia said calmly, in any case, let him live without dignity. Of course, I don't want to see him again. Call the rescue robots for him. After that, Yun Xianxia left the meeting room without looking back. He had planned this counterattack step by step. In the end, he won a complete victory and devoured Yun Chongqing completely. That's amazing. Qin Shuang looked at Yun Xianxia's back and sighed. If I had 1/10 of his courage, would I still need to listen to Yun Chongqing? Yun Wu tugged at Qin Shuang's clothes and said, Mom, Dad is still unconscious. Qin Shuang rolled his eyes and squatted down to check Yun Chongqing's breathing. He said impatiently, he's still alive. Xianxia can cut his glands and still be fine. What is this? After that, she stood up and looked at Yun Wu. She said to him, prepare a family banquet tonight to celebrate the successful acquisition of your brother. As for this guy, let's do as Xianxia said. Yun Wu nodded. He felt that his worldview had been shattered. This was the first time Yun Wu had seen his father's authority collapse in front of him. Moreover, he was smashed into powder by Yun Xianxia's sledgehammer. It was extremely embarrassing. Hua Yihu said solemnly. He was not trying to intimidate Lin Taishu by using the tiger skin as a banner. After all, he was the young master of the Hua family. He represented the face and dignity of the Hua family in Beijing. Now that he had been assassinated, he could ask his family for help if he did not have the ability to avenge himself. Therefore, he spoke with a strong sense of righteousness. He exuded the aura of a noble young master. This Qian who naturally won't bend the law for personal gain. Lin Taishu replied immediately. There was a trace of fear on his face, as if he had been frightened by something. Then, he turned to look at Kai Zian. His eyes gradually turned cold. Seeing this, Morong Wushuang and the others looked at Lin Taishu in confusion. However, they only saw the surface and did not notice the trace of mockery in the depths of Lin Taishu's eyes. The website is about to close. Download the Love Reading app to see the latest content for free. Since they are trying to blackmail me, I shall see who will be the one doing the blackmail. Then what are you waiting for? Hurry up and apprehend the assassin who tried to kill this young master. Hua Yihu shouted. At this moment, he almost believed that Kai Zian really wanted to assassinate him. Especially when he saw Lin Taishu's awkward expression, he could not help but laugh in his heart. Just as the elders had guessed, as long as he insisted that Kai Zian wanted to assassinate him, Lin Taishu would not know what to do. Now that he used his family to pressure him, this good-for-nothing would immediately panic. Although he knew that Lin Taishu was audacious and did what he did in the Hua family courtyard, he felt that Lin Taishu had a good reason to do so. Otherwise, how could a good-for-nothing like him dare to be so presumptuous in front of the Hua family in Beijing, right? Especially when Hua Yihu realized that Lin Taishu's hesitation turned into fear as soon as he finished speaking, he was overjoyed. Men, arrest Kai Zian. After thinking for a while, Lin Taishu ordered with a timid look on his face. Master. Lord Qianhu, hearing Lin Taishu's order, Morong Wushuang, the girl in soft armor, and Chao Hongfu were all stunned. Tao Tao PS //WW Omega E Okba Omega et / never in his wildest dreams would he have thought that Lin Taishu would give such an absurd order. This must be an illusion, right? Chao Hongfu and the others comforted themselves in their hearts. However, compared to their confusion, Kai Zian and the soldiers of the Northern Battlefront Army around them all looked shocked and angry, glaring at Lin Taishu. Fatuous ruler, no, bastard. How could you say something so shameless? Immediately, while everyone was angry at Lin Taishu, they were also extremely sad and disappointed. They had been ordered to capture Lin Taishu's assassin. In the end, not only did they fail to capture the assassin, they had become the assassins themselves. What the F***ck, how could this be so outrageous? when Huaihu, Huaziyuan, and the others heard this, they couldn't help smiling at each other, a trace of complacency in their eyes. Just as they had guessed, this plan of giving Lin Taishu a taste of his own medicine really made Lin Taishu panic and kill each other. What a compliment. Immediately, they looked at Lin Taishu and the others in a good mood, enjoying the dogfight that was about to unfold. What are you waiting for? Do you want to rebel? Seeing that none of the soldiers of the Northern Battlefront Army moved, Lin Taishu stared at them and scolded loudly. Rebel, this word was not something that normal people could bear. Immediately, the soldiers of the Northern Battlefront Army changed their expressions. After a few breaths, 2 soldiers of the Northern Battlefront Army gave their weapons to their companions and walked slowly to Kai Xian. Sorry, Lord Baihu. We were forced to do this. Please forgive us. It's okay. Do it. Kai Xian said and stretched out his hands. His face was pale. Obviously, he was disappointed at Lin Taishu's decision. The 2 soldiers of the Northern Battlefront Army found a rope and started to tie up Kai Xian's hands. Seeing this, the girl in soft armor was furious. She glared at Lin Taishu and was about to say something, but Morong Wushuang hurriedly grabbed her and pulled her back a few steps. Then, Morong Wushuang whispered to the girl in soft armor, "Calm down. When have you ever seen Master so stupid?" Knight's Naming Technique author, the talking elbow amidst the blue and purple neon lights, under the dense sky of steel, the front end of the flood of data was the world after the technological revolution. It was also the boundary between reality and illusion. Steel and bodies, past and future. Here, the surface world and the inner world coexisted. Everything in front of them felt like a wall of time was right in front of them. Darkness gradually enveloped them. But you have to understand, my friend. We can't use gentleness to deal with the darkness. We have to use fire. Chapter 542, Shadow Clone, City Number 5, Yamagata. The Ginkgo Manor halfway up the mountain was still brightly lit at 4 a.m. This place was like a never-ending paradise. Every night, the scions of the organizations who had no future prospects in their clans would drive their sports cars to wake up the entire city. Meanwhile, the hut on the mountain of Ginkgo Manor was quiet. It was like 2 worlds that had never merged. In the hut where the Qin Consortium's patriarch lived alone, the old man was still sitting cross-legged in the darkness with his head lowered. No one knew what he was thinking. Behind him, the Qin Consortium's shadow clone was waiting quietly. After some time, the shadow clone said, "You've succeeded." "MHM," the old man answered casually. The shadow clone said calmly, "When Qin Chen left Base A02, he took all of the Qin Consortium's intelligence personnel with him. This proves that he already has the Qin Consortium in his heart. Since that's the case, shouldn't you be mocking my weakness instead? Why aren't you saying anything this time?" The old man said softly, "If I beat you, it only proves that I didn't teach you well. There's nothing to be happy about. If you beat me, that's what I should be happy about." The shadow clone fell silent for a moment. This old man's way of thinking had always been unique and very different from ordinary people. Just like how the old man felt that just having Qing Chen bring Qing Mu back was not enough for him to gain enough prestige. Only by making Qing Chen a second Qing Mu would it be enough. In fact, Qing Chen could have been rescued during the rescue mission, but he was sent to Base A02 by this old man. For example, the mysterious expert who had found Qing Chen and was hunting down Kanzaki Yunhe all over the world must have been one of this old man's men. For example, the news of Qing Chen being in the film crew was also leaked by this old man through a spy. In fact, the person sent by the Kanzaki Consortium to capture Qing Chen was not Kanzaki Yunhe, but another expert called Kanzaki Yun Song. In the end, the old man sent someone to stall Kanzaki Yun Song, forcing the Kanzaki Financial Group to send Kanzaki on over. This was because the old man felt that even though Kanzaki Yun Song was stronger, Kanzaki Yun he had more tricks up his sleeve, so he had a higher chance of taking Qing Chen away. This was something that the Shadow only found out about later. The old man wanted all of the Qin Consortium's intelligence personnel to remember the name Qing Chen. He also wanted the 929 intelligence personnel at Base A02 to return and sing Qing Chen's praises from the bottom of their hearts. This was the outcome the old man wanted, and he had succeeded. It was a close call. No, the shadow clone was wondering if everything had gone according to the Qing Consortium's patriarch's calculations and if there was no danger at all. The shadow suddenly asked, "When I was looking at the satellite map, I was thinking about something. 6 years ago, you asked me to go to the northern snowfield to hunt down a traitor. At that time, I thought that he had the family's secret, so I had to kill him myself. But later on, I found out that he wasn't. He was indeed just a small fry. I can't figure it out. Why would I need to travel thousands of miles to kill such a person? But when I looked at the map just now, I realized that the location where I was chasing him back then happened to be the current route that the field division is taking. You also know that the shadow door I have can only be opened in places I've been to before. So, you must have thought of all of this and prepared the prerequisites for me to open the door there in advance." But at that time, the transmigration hadn't even begun yet, the shadow clone said. The old man casually said, "You don't have to think of me as such a magical person. Go on, bring Xianxia home. Bring him back to receive the support and applause he deserves. Let the Kanzaki know that they've provoked someone they shouldn't have." The shadow clone gave the old man a deep look before opening the shadow door and walking in. However, the shadow clone did not head directly to the northern snowfield. Instead, he came to a tall mountain. In the night, he stood at the edge of a cliff and would fall off if he took another step. The shadow clone was dressed in black and silently looked down at the foot of the mountain. There was a tea plantation there that had been planted with Jing Mountain tea. Next to the tea plantation, there was a small fence with a field of sunflowers planted inside. Strangely, perhaps because so many extraordinaires had been planted here, the soil had become magical, or perhaps because of some other reason, but the sunflowers that should have withered in winter were still shining brightly. In the middle of the sunflower field, there was a delicate tombstone. The shadow clone said softly, "Not yet. Wait for me." As he said this, the shadow clone suddenly shouted, "Qingyi." Someone behind him said, "Here." "Qingyi." Someone else replied, "Here." The shadow clone turned around with a smile and looked at the 330 men in black in front of him. They stood in an orderly manner without saying a word, as if they were 330 statues. They did not move at all, allowing the snow to fall on their heads. There were 30 awakened ones and cultivators under his command. There were 300 genetic warriors that he had secretly trained. This was the secret squad that had been in charge of saving Li Shutong's imprisoned friends. They had already been waiting here for 6 hours and knew that the shadow clone was about to kill someone. The shadow clone said with a smile, "There's no need to apply camouflage paint on our faces this time. By the way, do you have any questions? If you do, ask them all at once." Qingyi asked, "Has Xianxia been possessed?" "No, he's naturally unable to be possessed. Or rather, the members of the Qing clan who have the unique bloodline of Xianxia's ancestor cannot be possessed." Qingyi asked, "Has he ever given in at base A02? "No, he has never given in, not even for a second. He's already killed his way out of base A02 by himself. A total of 2,383 soldiers from base A02, including the commander, Kanzaki Yuneo, have all been killed." Everyone in the secret squad narrowed their eyes because they knew what this meant. "Any other questions?" the shadow clone asked with a smile. No. From beginning to end, these people had never asked who they were going to kill, how they were going to kill, or how many they were going to kill. These were not their concerns. They only cared about whether it was worth it or not. Now that they had confirmed it, it was worth it. As long as it was worth it, it didn't matter even if they had to kill from night to day, from the end of one world to the end of another. The shadow clone said with a smile, "Let's talk about the battle plan. It's very simple. 2 Kanzaki field combat divisions are heading forward to encircle and annihilate Xianxia. Li Shudong, Elder Huatong, and Li Yunjing will take care of one of them. As for the other, we'll take care of 2 demigods and 4 A ranks. With such a lineup, those who don't know would think that we're going to save the world." The shadow clone stopped smiling. "Everyone, let's have a good time tonight." With that, a shadow door suddenly opened up beside him and he took the lead to walk in. A moment later, the shadow clone stood in the middle of the Kanzaki Field Combat Division's camp. He said with a smile, "Wow, I hit the jackpot." At this moment, all of the Kanzaki soldiers were looking at this scene in surprise. A black-cloaked figure had walked out of the shadow door out of thin air and stood in the middle of the camp as though he was the ruler of the world. "Police," a Kanzaki soldier was about to shout. Yet, at this moment, the time around the shadow clone began to become as viscous as water. The heavy snowfall in the sky suddenly slowed down. The snowflakes stopped in the air, in this dark night, in the white light of the camp's searchlights, and in front of the shadow clone. The Kanzaki soldier's mouth was wide open, and he was unable to close it. His body froze in the action of reaching for his gun. In the command tent, the commander had just received news that the neighboring camp had been ambushed. He was angrily questioning why they hadn't been able to organize an effective resistance. His questioning expression also stopped. The world had stopped for the shadow clone. He was the only one who didn't stop. The shadow clone slowly passed through the curtain of snow and walked towards the command tent of the Field Combat Division. He opened the tent's door and walked in. He stood in front of the division commander and observed him for a few seconds. Then, he used his fingertip to cut off the division commander's artery. He then picked up the Kanzaki Financial Group's document from the table and looked over it for a while. After confirming that he had memorized all the useful information, he went to pour himself a cup of hot water. During this entire process, everyone's movements were so slow that they were almost imperceptible. After drinking the hot water, the shadow clone walked out of the tent once again. He opened the shadow door once again and entered the dark night. At this time, the flow of time returned to normal. Xianxia, Qing Drive, and the others led their teams out of the shadow door. Calmly, the shadow said, "Kill them all." A secret squad of 330 people. Every 10 B-class genetic warriors were led by an awakened or extraordinary individual. Among them, there were also 2 A-class warriors, Xianxia and Qing Drive. In the dark night, 30 of the world's most elite combat squads started their slaughter. Everywhere Xianxia passed by, all the firearms of the Kanzaki soldiers were sucked toward him and gathered around him. Numerous black automatic rifles hovered around him, akin to an iron throne filled with swords. Dense gunfire was spat out of the rifles. Like a metal storm, their firepower covered everything. Everywhere the gunfire passed by, the tents in the camp were riddled with holes. The 10 genetic warriors behind him were like phantoms. They moved through this field combat division as if they were invincible. They killed from east to west, from south to north. More than 10 genetic warriors from the Kanzaki Financial Group gathered together, attempting to use their powerful physiques to block these 10 shadow warriors. However, when they opened fire from afar, they found that even after being hit, these shadow warriors would still continue killing without any regard for their own safety. They were not afraid of death. Before the Kanzaki genetic warriors could even react, these shadow warriors had already joined hands and arrived before them. In a single instant, the Kanzaki defensive line was torn apart. The Kanzaki genetic warriors were somewhat stunned. These black-cloaked people were actually all B-class genetic warriors. All those black-cloaked people moving as fast as phantoms in this camp were all B-class genetic warriors. How much wealth and resources would this require? How many elites had to be selected in order to create such a secret squad? The question was, why would such a fierce secret squad be used to deal with this newly formed rear combat division? The shadow clone stopped attacking. He merely paced around the camp slowly. It was as if a tango song called "One Step Away" had suddenly started playing in this world. It was as if all this had nothing to do with him. No one expected 330 experts to suddenly appear from the camp, and no one expected that they would actually use the elites of the elites to deal with a field division like theirs that was at the rear. With such an elite squad, even if they were sent to number 22 city to deal with the family head, they would still be qualified. Who would be so bored as to send such an elite squad to deal with an ordinary squad? Dawn arrived. The camp quieted down. Only the 323 shadow warriors remained standing where they were, panting slowly. 7 of them had died. Suddenly, the shadow started pondering. Both sides have succeeded. However, that old turtle from Kanzaki is nowhere to be seen. Where did he go? The shadow looked toward the north and said, using 2 field divisions as a cover, they are truly scheming something big. Li Shadong, I hope you can think of this. I'll leave the rest to you. Huaihu spoke in a serious tone. He was not trying to scare Lin Taishu with these words. After all, he was the young master of the Hua family. He represented the face and dignity of the Hua family in the imperial capital. Now that he had been assassinated, if he did not have the ability to take revenge, could he not ask his family to help him? As such, he spoke with a strong sense of righteousness. The aura of a noble young master emanated from his body. This Qian who naturally would not do anything that would bend the law. Lin Taishu immediately replied. There was a trace of fear on his face, as if he had been frightened. Following this, he turned to look at Xian. His gaze gradually became cold. Seeing this, Morong Wushuang and the others looked at Lin Taishu in confusion. However, they only saw the surface. They did not notice that Lin Taishu's eyes revealed a trace of mockery. The website is about to close. Download the Love Reading app to see the latest content for free. You're trying to scam me? Perfect, I'll see who gets scammed. Then what are you waiting for? Hurry up and apprehend the assassin who tried to kill this young master. Hua Yihu shouted sternly. At this moment, he almost believed that Xian really wanted to assassinate him. Especially when he saw Lin Taishu's awkward expression, he could not help but laugh in his heart. Just as the elders had guessed, as long as he insisted that Xian wanted to assassinate him, Lin Taishu would not know what to do. Now that he used his family's name to pressure him, this trash would immediately panic. Although he knew that Lin Taishu was extremely daring and did what he did in the Hua family's residence, he felt that Lin Taishu had a good reason to do so. Otherwise, how could a trash like him dare to be so presumptuous in front of the imperial capital's Hua family, right? Especially when Hua Yihu realized that the moment he finished speaking, Lin Taishu's hesitation turned into fear. He was overjoyed. Men, arrest Xian. After thinking for a while, Lin Taishu ordered with a timid look. Master, Lord Qianhu, hearing Lin Taishu's order, Morong Wushuang, the girl in soft armor, and Chao Hongfu were all stunned. Tao Tao PS///WW Omega E Akba Omega / never in his wildest dreams would he have thought that Lin Taishu would give such an absurd order. This must be an illusion, right? Chao Hongfu and the others comforted themselves in their hearts. However, compared to their confusion, Xian and the soldiers of the Northern Battlefront Army around them all looked shocked and angry, glaring at Lin Taishu. Fatuous ruler, no, bastard. How could you say something so shameless? Immediately, while everyone was angry at Lin Taishu, they were also extremely sad and disappointed. They had been ordered to capture Lin Taishu's assassin. In the end, not only did they fail to capture the assassin, they were the ones who had become the assassins instead. What the F***ck, how could this be so outrageous? Hua Yihu and Hua Ziyuan looked at each other and smiled. There was a trace of pride in their eyes. Sure enough, just as they had guessed, Lin Taishu was at a loss of what to do with his own life, and ended up killing each other. What a compliment. Immediately, they all looked at Lin Taishu and the others in a good mood, enjoying the dog-eat-dog show that was about to unfold. What are you waiting for? Do you want to rebel? Seeing that none of the soldiers of the Northern Battlefront Army were moving, Lin Taishu stared at them and scolded loudly. Rebel? This word was not something that ordinary people could bear. Immediately, the faces of the soldiers of the Northern Battlefront Army changed. After a few breaths, 2 soldiers of the Northern Battlefront Army helplessly handed their weapons to their companions and slowly walked up to Xian. Sorry, Lord Baihu. We were forced to do this. Please forgive us. It's okay. Do it. Xian said and stretched out his hands. His face was pale. Obviously, he was disappointed with Lin Taishu's decision. The 2 soldiers of the Northern Battlefront Army found a rope and began to tie up Xian's hands. Seeing this, the girl in soft armor was furious. She glared at Lin Taishu and was about to say something. However, Morong Wushuang hurriedly grabbed her and pulled her back a few steps. Then, Morong Wushuang whispered to the girl in soft armor, calm down. When have you ever seen Master so foolish? End of chapter 92. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share the video to support the channel.